Well, welcome, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and welcome to the Macil Duncan Radio Show. I am Mr. Red, White, and Blue, and we're in our third year of radio. And thank you so much, USAHeartbeat.com, that provides this nice studio for me, and Super Dave and all at USAHeartbeat.com. Pastor, salute to you. Hope you get to feeling better. Also, StreetLevelAmerica.com, that also helps carry me into 32 states, Mexico, and Canada. They also have an affiliate now in France that now gets me over in Europe. How about that? So we'll see what's happening. I can't speak any French outside of French mustard and French toast, but we'll see if they can hear from a southern preacher. Also on MacilDuncanRadio.com. And don't forget, we are here at 96.9 FM local Chattanooga and SGM Radio out of Alabama and the Freedom Network in New Jersey. Appreciate all you guys that carry the show and all you that like and share my show throughout the internet world. It's getting harder. Facebook especially loves to find ways to trip me up, slow us down. If you notice on the feed today, I just didn't even put my topics. When I put my topics and they don't agree, they freeze my page. It won't roll, and I have to make sure I can get that on because there's two networks that replay the show on local cable networks. So, with that said, how about the election? Can you believe it's getting closer? Well, don't forget, if you're in Hamilton County, tomorrow is General Election Day. Some folks that were confused of that, we have a local elections tomorrow here in Hamilton County in Chattanooga. You might check your area as well. Many folks just assumed all the elections would be in the fall with the presidential ballots, and that's just not the case. We have a general election, and it's very important that you vote. We have school board people to be voted on. We have Marty Haynes, tax assessor. He's running unopposed, but he needs at least one vote, right? So I'm sure Esther helped him with that. But we also need Senator Todd Gardenhire is running for re-election. Very pro-life. He's had me up to the Capitol. I did a prayer up at the state capitol in Nashville, and I had him speak at my church. He helps us raise funds for the hungry. Senator Gardenhire's a good guy. You're not going to agree with everything he does. So I know there's folks that want to slap voting records. I guarantee you, if I was in Congress and Senate, there'd be something you wouldn't like about me. If you ever gone out to eat with somebody and you try to order a pizza anymore, nobody likes the same pizza. Have you noticed that? You go out to eat and it's like, well, I don't want anchovies. Well, I want anchovies. I don't like olives. Well, I like olives. And you're finding people, especially if you go to Lupe's Pizza, very expensive, my friends. But I have a daughter that's got the health issues, so she likes to go there. You can literally order at Lupe's 3 sections. You can have like a pepperoni section, you can have a meat lover section, and you can have a vegan type section. Never seen that in my life. But we have become a land of choices, but also a land of disagreement. So just be nice. If you don't agree with somebody, you don't have to look like you've become scorched earth unless it's really violent or anti-biblical, anti-American to a level that costs lives. But I get upset at things. I'm just trying to say election season's around the corner. And boy, do I see people get so upset with each other. And I just wish we could disagree without being disagreeable, so that when it really matters and you have to raise the voice or raise the disagreements, they can be more substantial. Anyway, that's just me. Well, I want to remind you also on the ballot tomorrow, if you're in the District 7 here in Hamilton County, you've got Jody Schaefer running, and this was Jody in an interview with Channel 3 News.
I'm overwhelmed with the support of my community, and we are East Hamilton. That is the theme at East Hamilton Middle School this year, and I am part of this community, and I just want to say thank you to the community for all their support.
Now, Jody Schaefer she's a hometown girl. She grew up here. She's a lawyer by trade, also a wife, a mother. She has a kid in an elementary and a middle school. What a great advocate in the school board. Think about that. She's a parent with kids in the school system. She's a lawyer, and her husband practices law. So you know, I tease her all the time. I said, "Boy, I bet you guys have some fun discussions around the table." But anyway, Jody Schaefer, great candidate. Just something to think about, pray about. There's other candidates out there. And tomorrow, if you're in the Hamilton County area, August 1st, tomorrow is voting day. So keep that in mind. Well, with speaking of the votes, there was something that was done today. I think a lot of folks didn't see coming. Heritage Foundation Project 2025 director made a huge announcement today. See what you guys think.
New this morning, the director of the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 has stepped down after blowback from Donald Trump's campaign. Paul Dan's exit comes after Democrats have been highlighting Project 2025 to illustrate the very conservative policies that could be expected if Trump were to win another term. Trump has tried to disavow the program, which was created by many of the former president's allies and former aides.
Steve Bannon's won. And of course, he's in jail right now because, he defied Congress and would not go like Hunter Biden, defied Congress. But of course, he's out free. But you got to be a Republican to go to jail, it seems like these days. But Steve Bannon's in prison. They made sure Pelosi and them timed it. He reports to prison July 1st, and he doesn't get out till the end of October, which means, my friends, that he has got 5 days before the election, and his war room is one of the most popular conservative, or it was on the planet, next to Tucker Carlson. I'd say Steve Bannon was one of the voices of freedom, him and Glenn Beck and some others. So they muted Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon was a big proponent of Project 2025. And they wrote it much like the liberals write their projects. And they have these nonprofits that write these plans and strategies. And I'm going to try to remember the group. I had it, but when we cleaned the computer, I lost it. There's a group that actually, a legal group, that wrote all of the impeachments for the Democrats. And they also did the legal clerking to unite all these crazy lawsuits on Donald Trump, much like a heritage. It's a found. If any of my listeners can remember the name, please send it to me. But it's a foundation. It's a very liberal, left-leaning one, and they pulled their resources for a long term, trying to bleed Donald Trump of his finances, his campaign time. It was very strategic. Do you remember? They even recruited judges to make sure Donald Trump had to stay in the courtroom during jury selection. That's so extreme. But they kept him off the campaign trail. So what did Donald Trump do? On lunch breaks, he would go take walks through New York and down to the bodega and different places, and it backfired on them because now New York's in play. So this is a very interesting election cycle, to say the least. And with that said, Nigel Farage, you guys may remember him, the leader of Brexit. He's now a leader of a new party there in Europe, and here's what he's got to say about the upcoming election.
A month since Nigel Farage was elected to the British Parliament. He's the leader of the UK's Reform Party, and Nigel joins me now. All right, Nigel, welcome back. Always good to see you. A new poll of British voters thinks Prime Minister Keir Starmer should use you to get closer to Donald Trump. Have you anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, the British press think Trump will probably win in November and become president again, number 47. And Sir Keir, our Prime Minister, he's a very diffident, shy, somewhat introverted, mild socialist, internationalist, globalist lawyer.
You gotta love the Nigel guy. He's got that panache. He can punch you in the gut, and as you're bending over and feeling the pain, you're laughing with him. Did you catch that? He's describing the globalist leader, over there. Check it out.
Nigel joins me now. All right, Nigel, welcome back. Always good to see you. A new poll of British voters thinks Prime Minister Keir Starmer should use you to get closer to Donald Trump. Have you anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, the British press think Trump will probably win.
Now think about that. The British press is much more liberal than the American press. They're picking Trump to win. I'm just saying. By the way, Trump yesterday hit his highest approval rating ever. He's at 48%, 48.1. He's never been that high, even when he was president.
In November and become president again, number 47. And Sir Keir, our Prime Minister, he's a very diffident shy, somewhat introverted, mild socialist, internationalist, globalist lawyer, and doesn't have much affinity with the likes of Donald Trump. Add to that, his Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, has said the most abusive things about Trump repeatedly over years on Twitter, now X. So the idea is maybe there'd need to be a broker between the British government and Trump if he's number 47. And you know, the answer to it is very simple. I don't agree with socialist politics. I don't agree with the Labour Party, but I think the relationship between the USA and the UK is vital for world peace.
And I got to agree. So if Nigel Farage becomes that spokesperson, that broker, this could be very comical, because it's kind of like Senator Kennedy down in Louisiana when he was questioning the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service director and the FBI assistant director. he was throwing out words like Sasquatch. Do you believe in Sasquatch? I mean, he gets you rolling before then, boom, he puts the zinger in. So anyway, the election's coming up. Many folks are drawing their lines. Don't know who you plan to vote for, but you know, it's going to be your choice. America's at a precipice, and then I think this could be a very important election. I had a minister call me from up in East Tennessee this morning with concerns, asked me my thoughts on some things, and is concerned that if we don't pick the right person, and I'm sure you can guess which one he's voting for, America as we know it could be gone. But then again, is that biblical? And it's going to be interesting. There's so much going on, and I want to bring some of that to light when we come back. But one thing that could be interesting is Donald Trump has said one thing he would like to do is get rid of the choke point about the banking and Bitcoin. This could be a game changer with the election. He gets Bitcoin people to vote for him. That's a lot of young investors and young people that would normally vote left. But Biden has put the Heisman kind of on the Bitcoin community. Donald Trump scored points with this.
As president, I will immediately shut down Operation Choke Point 2.0. They want to choke you. They want to choke you out of business. We're not going to let that happen.
It was one of the many promises made by former President Donald Trump to a cryptocurrency crowd at this year's Bitcoin conference. Crypto advocates have dubbed efforts to cut off the cryptocurrency industry from banking services Operation Choke Point 2.0. U.S. officials have denied its existence. So what is it? I asked Chris Giancarlo, former chair of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission under Trump and current senior counsel and co-chair of the Wilkie Digital Works practice.
Well, let's talk about what Operation Choke Point 1.0 is, and that was during the Obama administration, a unacknowledged during the time effort by a number of the financial regulators, largely led by the FDIC.
So I don't know where you are on cryptocurrency, but I'm not a big fan of cashless. I'm kind of that way with electric cars. Hey, if you want an electric car, fine, but don't make it illegal for folks that want to drive a combustion engine, such as moi. It's just not going to be fun to drive your Harley if it's electric. I mean, you're going to go from vroom, vroom to bzzz. No, it's not cool. It'll make Harley riding no fun. And if you don't, go buy you a Honda, some of these Honda bikes. They make no noise. They're no fun. You want noise if you can ride a motorcycle. You want combustion engines. There's something about Americana. There's a lot of folks that want that. Not to mention, people want to be able to still use their cash. So I hope Donald Trump doesn't take us completely cashless. just like a lot of folks didn't want to see Biden take us completely combustionless. I think there should be a happy medium in the middle. People that still want to have their cash, I carry around my money clip, and not that I want to get robbed here or anything, but I'm always carrying my cash, and the reason I do that is because when you go up to the drive-through window or wherever you're at and you give them cash, it's very funny to watch some of these young kids learn to count change. They are completely clueless. Hand them a 20, and they really look shocked. They really used to tapping the cards. But the other reason I like to do cash, I just want to slow the bus down. But anyway, just a thought. But the banking community has got a little bit of concern, and rightfully so. And you've got the BRICS Bank, which is and don't forget, what is BRICS? BRICS started in 2010 as an economic reaction to NATO and the G7. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South America, and now Saudi Arabia. So it spells BRICS, B-R-I-C-S. Got it? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America, and now Saudi Arabia, and 14 other countries. So here is a little bit of what the BRICS are saying. They do not want to participate in a World Bank. They want to go back to having their own currency backed by gold and not by the petrodollar.
Are the World Bank and IMF truly serving the Global South, or is it time for change? The effectiveness of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has come under increasing scrutiny from BRICS nations. They argue that these institutions are dominated by Western interests and fail to address the needs of developing countries. Critics highlight the stringent loan conditions imposed by the World Bank and IMF, which often do not align with local priorities and can exacerbate economic and social challenges. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has publicly criticized the World Bank's governance structure, describing it as outdated and disproportionately favoring Western nations.
Which it does. Most world banks are controlled, and by the way, like the Federal Reserve, probably you guys think, oh, that's an American federal bank. No, it's not. They named it that to fool you. The Federal Reserve is a private bank. Okay, it's controlled by J.P. Morgan, BlackRock, and a few other major American-based companies. Okay, they help set the GDP for our country, which affects the world. And what they're saying is we no longer want to be a slave, if you will, to a Western bank that makes all the rules. And it's understandable. They're saying, hey, we want to have our own bank, our own currency backed by gold. And that's what the currencies used to be. Back in 72, Nixon and Kissinger took us off the gold standard. And again, brought Saudi Arabia to the table with America and the Western world with what they called the petrodollar. Our currency has been backed by petroleum, petro, if you will, from 1972 till now. Well, BRICS has pulled Saudi Arabia away from us and over to their side. Savvy? So what could happen in the near future is you're going to see gas prices probably go crazy. If you don't get a Donald Trump in there, it's going to go nuts. See, you need a president that believes in drill, baby, drill. Because not only do you want your own currency in your own country backed by gold, you want to be your own energy provider. And when Donald Trump was president in 2018, I'll say this and I'll say it again. For the first time in 75 years, we were energy independent. I repeat, for the first time in 75 years, we were energy independent. We were producing enough clean coal, natural gas, and petroleum for our needs. We built up and filled all of our oil reserves, plus we were the leader seller across the country, across the globe. Now, what did that do? Well, it hurt Iran, it hurt Russia, and there was another country that is an energy-based country. Maybe you've heard of the name. We give a lot of money to it. Anybody? Zelensky is their president? That's right. And all the top people up in D.C. have kids in energy businesses over there. Hunter Biden is always known, but if you get John Kerry, former Secretary of State and Senator, he married into the Heinz family. His stepson has a huge input into energy business there in the Ukraine. And then you have Pelosi, Paul Pelosi Jr., their son. And then you have Mitt Romney. It's not just Democrats, it's Republicans too. Mitt Romney's got kids over there, and they've got plush jobs. So when Donald Trump came in and started wanting to drill, baby, drill, and make America great again, the globalists went nuts because they had their hands in all these other countries and their energy production that didn't require unions, our kind of taxes, etc. Do you ever wonder why would a senator or a congressperson want to have a dual citizenship? If you're the citizen of America, why would you want a dual citizen of another nation? Pausing, letting it kind of roll in the little rat hole in your head. Because they want to have diplomatic immunity and they want to have banking options as a citizen of other countries. Savvy? Now you understand why these freaking people get so rich. It's a game. It's a shell game. Look at the salaries. Pelosi, her average salary while she was in office was $170,000 a year. She is one of the richest politicians of all time around the globe. Go look up her net worth. El Shakarubi to some of you. She could probably run some small nations. She has a war chest. That's why she gets done what she wants done. Some of you say, why has Hakeem Jeffries and Mike Johnson look a little more weaker as to Nancy Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi has a financial war chest built up. She has a team of lawyers, and she's been up there. Plus, her father back in the day ran with the mob. I'm just saying, go do the research. So what are you saying? They're banking and the finances of the future. Now, Donald Trump calls for us to become more of a crypto capital planet, or the leader of the planet. See what you think.
The United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world. I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way.
Now that was at the Bitcoin convention. They went nuts. And that's a huge, that's an independent voting bloc. I guarantee you right now, Robert F. Kennedy and Kamala are saying, shabam, we should have done that. That's a big, but the problem is Kamala can't because her and Joe Biden have tried to hold back the cryptocurrency and people in that. Have you noticed on your social media all these crypto pimps? And that's why I call them. They want to be your friend and stuff, but all you see is cryptocurrency all in their thing because all they want to do is they want to get in, tap into your friend base, and send multiple messages out. Or have you seen this type thing? Contact my friend, you'll thank me later, and it's a cryptocurrency commercial. The reason is because they know it's about to blow up, and that's what makes me think they kind of know. So if Donald Trump becomes president, cryptocurrency is going to go out the roof. You might want to talk with your financial advisor about that. But here is one of Donald Trump's friend who is also, he's an Asian gentleman, but he explains why America has issues under Biden.
Countries. Look at this guy, President Biden, biggest criminal I've ever seen. He's terrible, man. And the reason I know that is because I'm a capitalist. Biden is a communist. So in 2020, Biden gets elected. He beats my friend Donald Trump, very good friend of mine. We're capitalists. But the communists and the socialists and the crooks ate him. I'm an oil guy. I own oil wells like Mr. Tata. See, the rich own commodities. There was a pipeline running from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. Biden cut that off. What does that mean? I was selling oil in those days for $30 a barrel, went to $130 a barrel. That's dollars. I knew exactly what Biden was doing. He was going to destroy the middle class. So there'd be two classes of people, rich and everybody else poor. Destroy the middle class. So there'd be two classes of people, rich and everybody else poor. I knew exactly what Biden was doing. He was going to destroy the middle class. So there'd be two classes of people, rich and everybody else poor. I knew exactly what Biden was doing. He was going to destroy the middle class. Destroy the middle class. Destroy the middle class. Destroy the middle class. He was going to destroy the middle class. So there'd be two classes of people, rich and everybody else poor.
And that's pretty much what's happened. I think anyone that would consider yourself middle class, you don't feel too middle right now. You feel very low class. People are spending so much more money today. You know, Donald Trump, and this was a true statement when he was president, even though he lowered taxes and stuff, but he lowered energy costs and stuff. On average, people were feeling like they had between $2,500 to $3,000 in a nation poll for almost 3 years there. Because and that was per year, because of the savings, because when you kept your energy in-house like he was doing and what we should do, instead of buying from all over the world. Why would we want to buy from all over the world? Well, see, got to remember, what was the first thing that Biden did when he became president? He shut down the Alaskan pipeline, and he opened the Russian pipeline to Germany. Think about that. Huge move. That cost over 45,000 American jobs by the stroke of a pen. So he shut down the Alaskan pipeline, cut off all that oil, okay, opening up Russia, and then next thing you know, Russia is making a lot of money and starts wanting to take advantage and go after the Ukraine. Did Biden help Russia? All this time, is the Democrats actually, are they the ones that make deals with Russia? Think about it. Why would you open up the pipe? Now, of course, later we supposedly blew it up and stopped production for a while, but not till after we'd made Russia a whole lot of money and cost us a whole lot of money. See what I mean? So this guy, I think, is very, very accurate when he says, because bottom line is, Biden and most Democrats are globalist. They're worried about the global energy, the Green New Deal, the Paris Accord. Remember Obama's thing? Global. America is Trump's thing. Make America great again. That's what ticks them off. It's so obvious. The Democrats want to burn flags. The Republicans want to raise flags. The Democrats want global economics. The GOP pretty much want to have national economics. It's a choice. But see, what they do is they get you rabbit chasing these other small little issues, calling J.D. Vance weird. Come on, give me a break. I hope you guys are smarter than that. But anyway, so much going on. Not much time to the break. Got about 2 minutes here. Signs of revival. Something has shifted. There's revival fires in the UK, and this is 700 Club. This is good news.
Spreading across the United Kingdom, the movement is marked by an increase in prayer as well as an increase in healings. One pastor describes feeling the tangible presence of God across the nation. Wendy Griffith has the story.
When God is here, the impossible becomes possible. Something has shifted in the last 6 months, and it feels almost like it's a rising river.
Pastor Craig Cooney of Hope Church in Northern Ireland believes the spiritual drought brought on by the pandemic is over.
Between 20 and 2023, I found myself often saying that I've never seen the church at such a low ebb. That it just felt like we were going through the motions post-COVID. It was just a lack of zeal, a lack of passion, a lack of enthusiasm, a lack of growth. Something shifted around the start of this year, I would say. And it's difficult to describe or define.
Cooney, who also reaches more than 100,000 people on Instagram, says the most noticeable change is a tangible presence of God, as well as an increase in the number of healings.
There's this sense of God is in the room.
Powerful. I'll be back.
Mr. Hi, this is Rob Mitchell, Rutherford County Assessor of Property, and I love to listen to the Macil Duncan Show because it's one of the few places that actually tells the citizens the truth about what's happening in their community and in America. I know that when I listen to Macil's show, I'm hearing the truth, and I'm hearing an honest man give an honest opinion. Thank you, and God bless you.
WVMG Chattanooga. It is time for the Church of Jesus Christ to roar. That is one of the core principles of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their mission is to restore the roar in the body of Christ by establishing a foundation of faith in the Word of God through the power and demonstration of His Holy Spirit. They will reclaim the original intent of God for the church through training, equipping, releasing believers, and raising up leaders who will carry the roar of the Lion of the tribe of Judah to build strong local churches. And we all need that. You can find out more information by going to their website, myroar.org. Metro Tabernacle Church is located at 2101 West Shepherd Road, the airport exit off of Highway 153 in Chattanooga. Let's roar. It is time for Christians to roar, to make a difference in the community. That is the belief of Metro Tabernacle Church and Dr. Steve Ball. They have the School of Roar. The School of Roar is hosting a summer 2024 The Prophetic. Classes open to everyone, and registration is free. Do you want to learn how to work more in the prophetic? Attend one of the class schedules. Registration deadline June 2nd. There will be a class Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. and one again July 16th at 6:30 p.m. You can register at the website metrotab.net or myroar.org. That is myroar.org. It is time for the church to roar. Would you like to watch episodes 5 and 6, season 4 of The Chosen? Well, you can. Join us at Christ Fellowship Church, 1176 North 3 Notch Road in Ringgold, Georgia, as they have Christian Movie Night the last Tuesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. at the church in Ringgold, Georgia. We've been watching The Chosen, and Tuesday, July 30th, we'll be watching episodes 5 and 6 of The Chosen. No admission will be charged, but a free will offering will be taken. Join us as we enjoy together watching episodes 5 and 6, season 4 of The Chosen. Christ Fellowship Church, 1176 North 3 Notch Road, Ringgold, Georgia, Tuesday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at our Tuesday movie night. And you, my friend, are invited.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, the Patriot Pastor, here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and a song comes to mind when I think of the Secret Service.
Shot through the heart, and you're too late, darling, you give love a bad name.
They give law enforcement a bad name. As you think about it, Donald Trump being shot at, the former president, one of the most high-profile persons, if not the highest right now in the world, was shot at, and all we get is excuses. Absolutely no press conferences. The Secret Service has not done one thing. Hey, Secret Service, this is called a microphone. You know, hang on, I can turn. You get one of these guys, and you get a podium, and someone talks into it. It's not that hard. But if you talk into it, you've got to allow the media to ask you questions. I think they're taking a playbook from the Biden administration. Do you know that Mr. Biden has given the least amount of press conferences of any president ever? This goes back to before there was technology. That's pretty sad. But Biden has another record. He's taken more paid vacations than any president ever. For every day he's been supposedly on the job, he has had another paid day on a vacation or retreat. With that said, has the Secret Service taken up the secret life of Biden? Now, the interesting thing about the Secret Service is 48% have dropped off since Donald Trump left office. You got to wonder the turnover. What's going on? Well, the FBI is investigating the extremist and violent post believed to be from the Trump shooter.
This was The View.
The acting director of the Secret Service said he cannot defend why the roof the shooter used in an attempt to assassinate former President Trump was not better covered. Newly released pictures show the view local law enforcement had from their post and the view of the U.S. Secret Service sniper who neutralized the shooter.
I could not, and I will not, and I cannot understand why there was not better coverage, or at least somebody looking at that roof line when that's where they were posted.
Now, that's Ronald Rowe, the acting director for the Secret Service, because, the chick finally resigned after she didn't want to, but I think they told her she had to.
This trending energy booster sold out.
There we go. They've run a commercial on me, but check out this. This is a little bit of update on, I guess, the shooting situation. Police were warned of Trump's rally shooter at least 86 seconds before gunfire. They could have done something.
Senator, just to clarify the timeline, so the individual was first seen by law enforcement on the roof at about 6:08. We're still working to perfect the timeline based on the radio comms and all that. It wasn't until at 6:11:03 seconds the officer saw him and called out his arm. That was the first sighting where he had the rifle on the roof, and then he.
And that was relayed to the Secret Service Command Center at that point.
My understanding is no, Secret Service, it was not relayed to them. It's a narrower time frame, though. It's probably about maybe up to half a minute between the time he's seen with the rifle and when the shots are fired.
Wait, hold on, just a second. Let me make sure I got this straight.
It's probably about maybe up to
half a minute between the time he's seen with the rifle and when the shots are fired.
Oh, God. Wow. Okay.
But there's still time. At that point, if there were an open channel of communication in which they were able to tell him, he's got a gun, take him out. You could still take President Trump off the stage. You could have him duck. You could have the shooter neutralized. Do you not have a channel of communication by which they can say, gun, take him out?
So again, Senator, that information stayed in local channels and did not make it over to Secret Service.
Did they not consider that relevant?
Sorry. Yeah.
You're saying that the local police didn't consider that relevant enough to pass along to the Secret Service?
Sir, I think that they were in the midst of dealing with a very critical situation, and they articulated that over the radio, as I understand it. However, it was never relayed over to us.
That doesn't seem to be quite the truth. This is what the Pennsylvania SWAT team said.
Members who were on duty during Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky joins us now with more. And Aaron, this was quite a revealing interview.
We hope so, Whit. And these are the SWAT team members who were assigned to take up positions in defense of former President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. And they told us they had no communication with the Secret Service until after the gunfire started. The SWAT team saw the shooter. They recognized him as suspicious, even took pictures of him. None of the concerns, though, had a chance of reaching decision makers before Trump took the stage because of what these men and women described as failures of planning and communication.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
They had no communication with the Secret Service. But here's the number 2 guy representing the Secret Service in Congress saying this again.
You're saying that you're saying that the local police didn't consider that relevant enough to pass along to the Secret Service?
Sir, I think that they were in the midst of dealing with a very critical situation, and they articulated that over the radio, as I understand it. However, it was never relayed over to us.
So it's a he said, she said. Pennsylvania's SWAT team is saying, and they went on ABC News and said the Secret Service, one, did not show up at the 9 o'clock briefing. They never had the briefing before. They didn't hear from the Secret Service until after the shooting. That's not acceptable. A rooftop was left open. They did not communicate with local law enforcement. I'm telling you one thing. The Gateway Pundit says that smells like an inside job, not to mention that the Freedom of Information Act has been denied by the Secret Service. They will not release the files. Why is that? There's got to be a problem. So, Secret Service, again, your song for the day.
Shot through the heart, and you're to blame.
You're to blame, Secret Service, not the SWAT team. And what's that? Don't you hate it when people don't take responsibility? They should be raising their hand. They should be having press conferences. But no, it's not our fault. And they're hoping that this is somehow going to go away. My friends, you allowed the President of the United States to get shot at. That's not going away. I think a lot of folks are saying, I don't think so. Speaking of not going away, rapper R. Kelly. Now listen to this. He wants out of his conviction because when he raped and molested the boys, it's before the law.
Disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly wants the Supreme Court to throw out his Chicago conviction for possession of child porn and enticing minors to engage in sexual activity. His attorneys argue the Chicago convictions and 20-year prison sentence should be tossed over the statute of limitations. Kelly was tried under the PROTECT Act, a 2003 law which extended the federal statute of limitations for sex crimes involving children. His lawyer, Jennifer Bonjean, contends because his actions occurred in the 90s.
Did you catch that? His actions. They're basically saying, yeah, he raped boys. He did unthinkable things to kids. But it was before the law was in place?
Because his actions occurred in the 90s. Because his actions occurred in the 90s. Because his actions occurred in the 90s, before the law was passed, the statute of limitations should have expired.
I don't think so. Rapper Kelly, you're a part of what many of us are seeing as the sexual sting that Donald Trump did on New York. Now, I've told you this before. Let me see how I'm doing on time. If you guys go back, it was Nexium, the first one. Lanier, you remember he went down, and Allison Mack, who used to be in the Superman series, she was the cute little blonde. In the Superman TV series, she was the procure. She would go out and get potential models. She actually recruited Kelly Clarkson and some established artists to come in, and there were many that were in this. It was a sex cult. And if you went through all the steps, and it was very stupid stuff, you got to have your genitals, ladies, branded with Steve Lanier's initials. And it was very painful. I've played the tapes and the testimonies. I'm not going to do that today. Well, when Lanier went down, then Epstein went down because people were rolling over. When Epstein goes down, Harvey Weinstein goes down. When Harvey Weinstein goes down, rapper Kelly goes down. Rapper Kelly goes down, they start rolling on each other. That's how it happens. And if you go back and look at all the sex trafficking in Chicago and mainly New York, because a lot of them did their sex bidding in New York. Think about this. Oprah, the Helen DeGeneres show. Okay? Helen's, her whole backdrop, go look at her old backdrop. It looked just like Epstein Island. It had a look of the dome, the gold dome, and the building. It was very clear that there was a network of child sex trafficking. Did you know under Donald Trump's 4 years, he arrested more pedophiles and sex traffickers than all the presidents from Jimmy Carter up to that point? And then Biden comes in, and what do? They open the borders wide open. And one of his own workers, volunteers, went to Congress and said over 85,000 children were missing in the first 14 months of the open border. And that's been eclipsed. Who knows how many kids are missing. I say that to say, do you think it's very interesting that New York is going after Donald Trump with a banshee of vengeance? Because he cost those perverts a lot of money. Think about this. Donald Trump was a former Democrat. He was a billionaire up in New York. He knew the game. If you remember, some people said, well, wasn't he friends with Epstein? I'm sure he was at some point till he got to know what was going on. And he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because he tried to rape one of the female employees, and he took the word of an employee over a billionaire. Think about that. They don't spin it that way to you, do they? So it's going to be very interesting in time. I pray that Donald Trump gets back in, and there's so many cases, but the Epstein files need to be released. Now, don't forget, Epstein's procure, she finally went to jail, but she rolled over on people as well. So when you go back and look at all the folks that were involved, and a lot of it was in New York City, and then all these trials in New York City. I'm just saying, just think about it with me. It seems that they went after him with outrageous fines. Just saying. All righty. Got lots going on here. See what you think.
Hello, everyone. I just landed in Charlotte. We have a tremendous rally, unbelievable crowds. People can't even get in. It's really great to see. And whatever you can do to help us out with the fundraising, that would be great. Whatever it is, but only if you have it. If you don't have it, don't stretch. Just relax, because we're doing really well. We're leading in the polls by a lot. We're leading with about everything, including the money. So don't stretch. But if you can, we got to win this thing. If we don't win it, we have no country left.
Kamala Harris was never Biden's border czar. Here's what she really did. The Trump campaign and Republicans have tagged Harris repeatedly with border czar titles.
This is the kind of thing that is playing out all over conservative media. I just want to do a little bit of record correcting. Harris was put in charge, as you said earlier, of combating the roots of immigration. She was not and is not the border czar.
And the Biden administration did task Vice President Kamala Harris with the issue of migrant crossings, naming her the so-called border czar.
I've asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle.
And Vice President Kamala Harris, on her own social media, her former Twitter, which is now X, POTUS asked me to lead our diplomatic work with Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras to address the situation at the southern border. We have to address the root cause of migration, Kamala said. It won't be easy work, but it's necessary. And then you had this lady on the floor of Congress trying to say that they never called her border czar, and this was nothing but a Republican ploy. See, there's always truth that comes later. Check how she gets embarrassed.
When it comes to the record of Vice President Harris, we keep hearing the term over and over again, the lies that she was the border czar. Vice President Harris was never the administration's border czar. As a matter of fact, Republicans even know that because they had to change the resolution. There has never been such a position. It was invented by Republicans. What? Let's just take a look.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
If they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
Is there anything about you that's true?
It was invented by Republicans.
Don't you have any sense?
So that was CNN, by the way, those clips I played for you. This is, again, CNN calling her the border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
It's her first being appointed the border czar by President Biden.
Border czar by President Biden.
If they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She
Again, CNN.
met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
Nothing has effectively changed. Well, the migration is getting worse.
Reuters is reporting roughly 3,000 migrants from nearly a dozen Latin American countries are trekking toward the U.S. southern border, spurred by concerns over potential policy changes should former President Donald Trump win the upcoming presidential election.
So there's a fear that Donald Trump's going to win, so they're sending thousands more to try to get into the country. Now, here's the kicker. A lot of folks are concerned about illegal voting. Right now, there are many blue states that are called sanctuary states that are allowing people to get driver's license now without being U.S. citizens. They're also allowing them to get federal funding. These two tactics will be used to help them in the upcoming census. Now, what you need to understand is when they take a census of the country, and say Tennessee has 100,000 people, I know it's a low number, and we jump to 200,000. Well, they base that compared to the other states, and then that tells you how many Congress appointees we get to represent up in D.C. Savvy? So do you see now why California, for instance, they love to have all these migrants, let people sleep on the streets, just put bodies in their state so they can count them. So they have one of the largest congressional representations in Congress. Why would they want that? Because Congress controls the money. Savvy? Show me the money, Cuban said to Tom Cruise. And that's what they do. They do not care to help these migrants. All they do, and when migrants are coming across the border, they're giving these iPhones, or these smartphones, if you will, and they have apps already loaded on them, and they give them directions how to avoid ICE and border security and how to make their way to certain cities. New York City, for instance, is becoming a huge population for migrants, and it's upset some of the people to a point where you're having people of color get very upset, and they're actually calling it out. Now, this is, I've played this before, but this is Dr. Umar. He was on The Breakfast Club, which is with Charlemagne the God, and he kind of lets him know he believes their plan is to replace the black vote with what he calls the brown vote. And he's very upset, and he doesn't use any cuss words, but you can sense the passion in his voice, and this is very telling of why Donald Trump is increasing in the black community.
Line is when Joe Biden got elected, he said he wanted to fast track 4 million undocumented residents to full citizenship. Black people completely ignored it. I spoke on it. I said, do you know why he want to fast track 4 million? Because he know he's not going to do nothing for us. We ain't going to be motivated to vote for him November. So what he's going to do is have these migrants already set up with citizenship so they can replace the black vote that he loses. The migrants are being put in our communities on purpose, New York and Chicago on purpose, because they are what? The two blackest cities in America. They're the two largest cities in America. They're the two most politically conscious black communities in America. So if we can wash out the black with the brown in New York, if we can wash out the black with the brown in Chicago, Philly don't stand a chance. Atlanta don't stand a chance. L.A., Houston, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago don't stand a chance. The migrants are here for 3 reasons. Replace us at the polls. Replace us at the low-end industry jobs. They're not the enemy. The problem is black people don't get as much opportunity. So then people say, well, white people don't really like brown people like that.
So he pretty much goes on, and I've played the whole clip, and it's 3 minutes, and I'm not going to play the whole 3 minutes today. But he believes that they're wanting to replace the black vote with the brown vote, and one is because there's more of them. Right now, there's north of 22 million illegal aliens in the country. 80% of folks that come to this country vote Democrat. And you may say, why is that? Because a lot of Democrats volunteer at two places. You know what the two biggest places Democrats volunteer at? The voting polls and immigration stations. It's like their mission trip. You know, when you were a youth group, you remember how you used to get the matching T-shirts and you go down and surf somewhere in another part of your state or another part of the country, or maybe you can go fly somewhere across the country, or you get in your white vans. All churches have the white vans, and you do the white van trip, and you go out to Montana and you help somebody, and of course you have to stop at an amusement park, buy some cool stuff and get some fudge and some chocolate, come back and say, woo, I serve God now. I'm here at my church. I'm not going to do anything here. I have to go somewhere and have a matching T-shirt and be on a white van before I can do anything bold, because here I don't want anyone to really know that I'm a Christian. That's almost the way it appears. Okay, but anyway, just with that same enthusiasm that we used to do, I was a youth pastor, and you would take kids to mission trips, and you get them jacked up, psyched up. You would train them. You would help them go through material. That's what the Democratic Party does. They put on the matching T-shirts. They load them up in the white vans, and they take them to work the polls, and they take them to help bring in the new residents, if you will, into the country, be it illegal or legal. And what they do is they indoctrinate them with the word Democrat. That's a fact, Jack. My good friend Angus up in New Jersey, he calls into the show once a month and updates on stuff. He'll tell you he's now legal in this country. He came in legally, and he's doing everything the right way. But it's been a 6-year journey, whereas others got in this country by sneaking under a fence. Whereas Angus has studied our country, and he came from India, and he'll tell you that majority of his family and the folks he knows come in this country believing Democrats are the good people. He says until you get here and you actually pay attention, and he says, hey, all you have to do is get here, open your eyes, and he goes, America's a great country, and I love his heart, and he's got a very strong accent, but you can go back and check out him on several of my shows. All right, we're about to go to a break, and Jolene Carter will be calling in from Virginia, and we'll hear an update on how things are going there, because that's going to be a key state. Prior to Joe Biden stepping out, Trump had a 3-point lead. They're saying now with Kamala in the race, it's gone back to Trump either at a half point or maybe tied. I'd like to hear what Jolene says. But that's going to be a key state. But if Donald Trump were to be able to flip states like Virginia, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, I mean, that's going to be a game changer. Looks like he's already flipping Nevada and Arizona and Georgia back to where they used to be. Could be interesting. Don't forget my book, Move Your Mountains Here, Learn the Journey of Faith by Macil Duncan. You can order it online at Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get your online books. I'll be back after the break.
Hi, this is Rhonda Tate. I'm from Chickamauga, Georgia. And I love listening to your show because you tell all the truth. And you're God-fearing and God-loving man. And I also love the Lord. And thank you for all that you do. I appreciate it.
WVMG Chattanooga, 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan from Nashville, funds the National Education Order 108447 in 1959 that declared Constitution Day in public schools, and that's something we sorely need. More than 1 million kids last year got a free copy of the Constitution, and this year's goal is 2 million kids. Imagine that. The Constitution in the hands of 2 million American kids. On September 17th, all public schools are to distribute and educate students on the Constitution of the United States. If you'd like to help out, 917, that's 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan of Nashville, Tennessee. And remember, the goal this year, 2 million copies of the Constitution in kids' hands. And you can help. Again, the website, 917society.com. Jesus said, "You do it unto the least of these, and it's as if you were doing it unto me." There are many hungry people in our communities. The Appleton Food Bank feeds over 3,000 people every month, and they could use your prayers. In these troubling times, the number of clients they are serving is increasing. You can make a donation today. Go online to appisonbaptist.com. appisonbaptist.com. Food drives, prayers, financial donations, all help. They have rented 2 old grocery stores. They're open 7 days a week for donations, and they distribute every Monday and Friday. The motto at Appison Baptist Church is taking Jesus as he is to people as they are. And you can get involved and help feed the hungry. Go to the website, appisonbaptist.com. You know, there is someone hungry in your world tonight. So as you're seated tonight at your dinner table, enjoying the mashed potato and steak off the barbecue grill, remember that there are many people in our communities, in our world, that are not as fortunate as you are. So please consider donating your time, funds, and food to your local food bank or food pantry. And as you enjoy the barbecue tonight, please remember them. Check on the widows, elderly, and the orphans as well. You can donate in the Appison, Tennessee area to Appison Baptist Church. They have a food pantry there that would love your support. And there are many food pantries all over America. We need to feed this nation in more ways than one, but one way that we can literally feed them is with food. Get involved and make a difference.
Welcome back, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and this is the Macil Duncan Radio Show here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Broadcast live from USHeartbeat.com studios and StreetLevelAmerica.com here in Chattanooga, and also 96.9 FM radio, SGM Radio in Alabama, and the Freedom Network in New Jersey. Thank you guys for posting and telling folks about the show. I have my good friend Jolene Carter, who comes on every Wednesday at 4. Jolene, how's things going?
Things are going good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm telling you, I'm good. We're finishing up our month of fast here in July.
Oh.
And so I've lost 8 pounds, feeling better. Went walking, but you know what's funny is yesterday I came walking. I've been walking to the studio, for a little exercise.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I didn't check the weather, and yesterday a big thunderstorm came.
Oh no!
So I waited 45 minutes. Finally, I just had to walk in the rain home.
Oh no!
So I called Judy and left her a message that I was singing in the rain. She didn't think it was funny, but anyway. But other than that, things are going good here. Now in Virginia, a lot of folks are worried about that race. There's a possibility, because Trump was up pretty big, and then Kamala comes in, and they give us this Fantasyland polls. What are you hearing in Virginia?
Well, so what I'm reading is that Harris is like against Trump, 38.9% in Virginia.
Okay.
39.9. So I don't believe it.
So they're actually thinking she's up in Virginia.
They're saying that she's up by, and this is from the Hill, so,
Oh yeah, well
incredible.
that's lip-lop liberal land.
Definitely.
Do you guys have any problem, in your opinion, like Philadelphia and others, with voter theft? Do they allow you guys to vote like weeks after the election? What's it like voting there?
Well, I mean, we have to show our ID, which I think everyone should. During the COVID, it was, pretty crazy. We had to vote at a different location, and they made it pretty, kind of hard. They really wanted you to vote, by mail, and but this last election, we always have to show our ID. I think they do a pretty good job, at least from where we are.
Well, now the one thing about Virginia, I want to remind my folks, you had a lady that did a porn thing with her husband to raise money, and she almost won the new district there. It was close, and people thought, oh, she's blown it. Well, that actually got her name recognition, but she did some porn with her husband and was getting donations for her campaign. And I'm going, so Kamala, that's kind of up Kamala's alley. She's been known for her dating and exploits. So it's going to be interesting to see, because they used to say character matters against Trump, and brought up all of his infidelities or his divorces.
Oh yeah.
I think, and they would hide Biden's, but she was Montel Williams' girlfriend, and isn't there also a picture of her with Jeffrey Epstein? He's in a Speedo and she's in a bikini.
Yeah.
Is that possibly photoshopped?
I don't know. I've seen that picture going around. I don't know if that one is real, but there's another one of her and Epstein that looks pretty real.
Well, Montel's for real. Montel, and then Willie Brown.
Oh yeah.
But
when he was mayor of San Francisco, she was
known for being with married men.
Married men, right?
And
I said the other day that she slept her way to the top, and Joe slept his way to the bottom.
Oh yeah. She is. It's just a different person. But my point is, Virginia, and I hate to say it, you guys are so close to D.C. They've corrupted, probably, especially the northern part of Virginia, is pretty putrid.
Yeah, it's very liberal.
So
it is. But one of the things I read, you remember we had, our governor, was a Republican, our attorney, our lieutenant governor, and then the attorney general, Jason Mears. He's launching an investigation into Act Blue regarding illegal campaign donations because, was it last week Kamala raised $81 million overnight?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see that.
Well, I think, I hate to say it, but the Democrats have thrown the kitchen sink at Trump, and we've not even thrown a wrench at Biden, really. And I think all the Hunter Biden stuff's going to go away now. I think the deal was made. Step down, and we'll take care of Hunter. Jill, you're going to get, you're going to get a lifetime supply of whatever you want, and because she looks all. Have you seen how happy Jill is now? Over there at the Olympics, everything's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure they got a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think she was the one holding him out. Maybe keeping his meds, keeping him saying, "Honey, don't listen," or not allowing people, because they said Nancy Reagan did that to Ronald his last year. So anyway, the reason I bring that up is Virginia. There's a chance. I was watching some poll predictors last night. They said if Donald Trump flips back Arizona and Georgia, and he gets Nevada and Virginia, he might be able to do without the Rust Belt. or maybe you only have to have one of those. If Kamala's peaking in Michigan, whereas Trump was ahead. Wisconsin's always a crapshoot. It's always, and you just don't know there.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one there? It's Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how those three, because Pennsylvania remember they get to vote for 2 weeks after the election. They can send in absentee ballots.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not go through the voter protocol for that. They made that up under the COVID. That should be, someone needs to take that to the Supreme Court.
I think so too, because the states, they have their own rules and laws, and they just bypassed everything.
I don't know.
And I'm like, why didn't anybody, take that to court? And even with this installing Kamala, like there should have been a primary. These people didn't vote for her.
We know Black Lives Matter is actually spoke out against that.
I know.
And they said they thought there should at least be a digital primary of some sort to allow the people to offer other choices. And I played a clip from MSNBC yesterday. They had a group of women they thought were pretty liberal. And they're either all independents or Democrats, and none of them are voting for Kamala. There was 8 of them. And they said if they were voting today, they'd vote for Kennedy.
For Kennedy.
And the lady, she was dumbfounded, and she says, "Well, don't you think it's time for a female president?" And the kind of heavy lady at the end said, "Not Kamala. She's an idiot."
Yeah, she really is. She really is.
They didn't.
She's not smart. She's the insurance policy. They picked her, and Joe Biden even said so, which was so cringe. I'm sure he got in trouble for that. He said she was DEI hire.
Would you remember he said, "I'm going to." He put himself in a box. He says, "I'll pick a female African American woman as my candidate."
Yeah.
And I'm going, why? You should be the best person. If he would have picked Tulsi Gabbard, this would be a whole. She would be a chat. Donald Trump would have a tough time with Tulsi.
Well, yeah, I think so.
But and I'm just saying because
she's not controllable though.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But before AOC, she was the VP of the party. You remember? But she was a Bernie Sanders. She leaned very left like Kamala. But she stood up to Hillary Clinton when she stole the nomination back in 2016 from Bernie Sanders, and she resigned as VP. She gave up her super delegate status, which is very elite. That was political suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And then she tried to run for president in 2020, and
right. Did you see? She was up on the stage debating with Kamala. I've seen that clip.
Oh yeah.
She really ran her in the ground, but it was all true.
Well, do you find it interesting that Joe Manchin, Tulsi Gabbard became an independent, understandably so, and Kristen Sinema, the senator from Arizona, and she's not running for re-election. And Joe Manchin, with only 6 months out, decided he's no longer a Democrat. He's announced he's an independent, and he's not running for re-election. Why not just stay a Democrat for the next 6 months?
I don't know. Well, at first we thought maybe Joe Manchin might be running for president because of the timing.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, well, wonder what he'll do.
That's where they messed up. You put a Joe Manchin, Tulsi Gabbard type ticket together, something that makes sense, they could challenge Trump. But for whatever reason, the Democrats, I don't know why they feel the need to stick with Kamala, just like they stuck with Biden for so long and didn't let anyone primary. I just don't see why the Democrats didn't allow someone to primary him. Kennedy wanted to, Dean Phillips. They probably would have had 2 or 3 others. That would have been so much more fair. Now, Joe probably would have lost. Well, look, he's all. The Democrats, I don't understand their strategy other than the fact they plan on cheating.
Well, they have something up their sleeve. I mean, you think they're just going to let? If anybody thinks they're just going to let Trump win, in a fair election, they need to have their brain examined. They're not.
No, no.
I don't think they can cheat the way they did in 2020, but there are other ways. And I think, it's kind of interesting. I think that they were hoping that, that the bullet would have hit Trump. They would have had Nikki Haley in there, and then she's all big warmonger, so they would have gotten their way with her as president. She's just like a Democrat. I think that's what that was their strategy, but that failed. So
well,
it's just interesting how things happen real fast after that assassination attempt.
I agree. I think they thought they had him, and this is my belief. Joe Scarborough and Mika, they were canceled the next day. I think because they had a show completely primed and ready to talk about the death of Donald Trump. That's my opinion. And the interesting thing about Joe Scarborough, he was a conservative Republican in Florida, congressman.
Really?
Yeah, and go do the research. They found a dead woman in his office that he was dating.
I did hear about that.
And next thing you know, he's working for the liberal network. And next thing you know, he becomes very insane advocate against Trump. I think they thought, hey, we'll get a former conservative Republican, and maybe he could do Trump some damage. And now he's a mockery. Nobody takes him serious. There's probably a few.
They're awful.
But for them to take him off the air.
They both act like they're journalists, and all they do is just trash Trump. It's the craziest thing. It's like watching The View or something. I don't know.
Well,
but I didn't know he was a former Republican.
Yeah, former conservative Republican congressman in Florida. So anyway, well, your governor Youngkin, a lot of folks felt he would have made a good vice president.
Right? Yeah, his name was being kind of floated around.
But no, he's in Virginia. Is he that conservative? Wouldn't he be more of a moderate?
I think that he tried to stay. I think he kind of tried to keep his distance from Trump. Because he was not full on MAGA, whatever. They try to make MAGA seem like it's some extremist thing. I don't know. I mean, he's a good governor for Virginia. He's done good, and he's vetoed things and all those. He's not weak. I don't know if he would have been as loyal to Trump. I mean, I just don't know. There were just by how he ran his campaign, he really didn't want Trump endorsing him. Just things like that, So.
Well, your lieutenant governor, I always mess her name up. How do you pronounce her name?
Winsome Sears.
Winsome Sears. She's much more conservative. Now,
she's very outspoken too.
She was on a list way back, and I failed to bring her up again. I thought she would have made a good VP. She speaks well, but she was not a natural born citizen. So I don't know if she can run for president.
That's true.
That's
yeah,
right. So that may be why, but she would be great as a cabinet member somewhere.
She would.
I like her.
Yeah.
She's much more conservative, I think, than your governor.
I think so too.
And I don't think she'll be electable as governor because of that. My point is, whenever he's done, I think she's done. And so I'm hoping Trump picks her up so she can maybe help out. Well, the other quick thing about Virginia is you guys have the border state there, West Virginia. Why do you think West Virginia is so more conservative than Virginia? And my thoughts are, do you think it's because they're a coal mine state and the Democrats are so anti-coal mine? Because didn't they used to be very Democrat and they have flipped Republican?
Yeah, I think, back in the day, the Democrat Party was a completely different party. It was the working man, all that. It was just completely different. But what hurts Virginia is that D.C., Northern Virginia, D.C., it's all up there. And that's part of, D.C. isn't part of Virginia, but it borders there. And, that's where all the super liberals work and live. And so if you looked at Virginia, if you looked at, it always looks like it's going to be super red. And then, when they show Northern Virginia, it just flips us right back over to blue. Because, there's a lot of people up there. But that's why.
Well, they did a survey of the most conservative state in the country, and it's Alabama. They are 80. They're 12% liberal and 88% conservative. Okay, but the most liberal, if you want to call it state, is the District of Columbia. It's flipped, only 12% conservative and 88% liberal. So there's been talk, I don't know if you've heard this, that if they ever wanted to dissolve D.C., and this is a lot of the Q people now, and instead of them become a state, because they have special laws up there in D.C., if they did away with those laws and just gave the land back to Virginia, I think Virginia gave most of the land. But there's been talk of just encompassing D.C. back into the state of Virginia. I think that'd be a good move, but the problem is then your state would be putrid liberal.
We would be, because that's the reason that Virginia, it's a blue state. It's because of up north, but for the most part, it's pretty conservative.
But I would take that and let it be a blue state to get rid of D.C. and those special laws and those special deals they get, because when you're on, there's something, and you'll have to go look them up. When you're a congressman or senator and you're in the District of Columbia, you can't be arrested except by U.S. Marshals. They get a lot of special treatment, and their budget. The Speaker of the House has control of pretty much the Capitol Police, the mayor, everything in D.C. kind of in a way reports back through the Speaker of the House because they control the funding that somehow they bleed over into the. So I'm saying I wish they could dissolve all that, let it just surrender as a blue state, because if they ever make them a state, they'll just be another extra blue state. That'll be 2 more Congress and 2 more senators.
Right. Oh yeah, it would be better to just dissolve it into Virginia than to create, make it its own state.
Yeah, they give.
I think that's what they would like to do.
They wouldn't get extra votes, and there's a possibility by doing that and taking away that special stuff that they have. Have you ever seen the D.C. The Vatican? And there's a third. There's 3 small little pieces of land, and they all have these special laws. Have you seen that? I'm trying to remember where the third one is. It's the Vatican City in D.C., and there's a third place in the world. But they're like their own little country with laws. There's special laws. You can look them up for D.C. And the average American does not know them. And I'm sorry, I've slept since the last time I've read them. I should know that before I bring it up on the air.
That would be an interesting thing to look up, because I know that there are, but I don't know what they are. And I do know the Vatican too. It's kind of its own, it's got its own laws and things too.
Well, actually, even the design, like the Washington Monument, there's one very similar to it, the Vatican City, and I cannot for the life of me think of that third one. There's another place in the globe. That's just, they are very similar. It's very interesting stuff. But hey, let's jump to another topic. How's Mike doing? Your husband Mike is at stage 4 cancer, and just curious how his health's doing.
Well, he's doing good. His spirits are much better. We're leaving Sunday to head to MD Anderson. We feel really good about that. We had some people reach out to us that we didn't even know. They saw a post of mine, and they had to try to do some investigating to try to find me, because they had a similar story. He had kidney cancer that went to his lungs, and they went to MD Anderson, and turns out we have the same exact doctor that they had. So we've just seen all kinds of just providential things, so those prayers are really, really working in so many different areas. We can really feel them.
So as folks are praying for Mike Carter, that's battling the cancer, and his wife Jolene, who's on with me, Mike works for the 700 Club. It's a wonderful faith-based ministry. But how's your GoFundMe page going?
It's going good. It's going really good. And Mike they actually devoted their daily chapel to Mike last week. And so that was really, really kind of them. And it meant a lot to him. And all these people were praying. And then Mike was able to talk a little bit. Just like, then the next day he was able to do your show. So, he's just hoping that, his story might reach someone, and, because people have reached out to us, because this is all new for us. And we've had people reach out and have been so helpful, just giving advice, and
well, others that have gone through the battle. Cancer is, and I've said this before, it scares us to death, but it's another word to God. But to us, it's a scary, scary word. And that passage in Psalms 23, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, meaning that you don't walk into the death valley, you walk through it. You guys are walking through that fear of death because there's always those concerns and stuff. But it's probably encouraging when you hear others that said, hey, we've been there. We've walked through the cancer and the treatments. And, hey, there's not always bad news. There's good news. And
we've heard so many people talk really good about MD Anderson, and just so many people have been there. I'm so surprised that they had the same kind of thing and ended up going there, and they're cancer free. Probably at least 7 people, have reached out to me that have been there. So we're really hoping that he's going to be going through a lot of testing, but there's a lot of new, medicine out there. We're hoping that, he is able to maybe, because sometimes it has to do with, your genetics. Some of these pills that that can give you, you don't have to go through chemo or radiation, but it just depends, on your genetics. So they have to test that. He'll probably have his biopsy there too. And we weren't happy with our oncologist here, so we got a new one, but we just haven't been able to meet with him before we go. Just they just didn't have anything open. And it's important to have an oncologist locally that you really like and that you trust. So we're just putting that in God's hands because we're not going to be able to meet with him until after our trip. But I'm real proud of him. He could just be really down and depressed and and why me, but he's not at all. He's just been a really good example, and just having faith. And I think he was breaking down in the beginning a lot because he was just really sad. But now if he breaks down, it's because of the kindness that people are showing. It's just so touching. So
isn't it amazing? The church sometimes waits till somebody's in a situation before they get broken, because it affects your prayer life. When you've had the bad news from the doc, I mean, I hate to say it, but it makes you pray harder. Your mind gets more focused. You say, hey, I'm not paying attention to Facebook or ESPN or whatever. I'm focusing on God and some scripture right now. I'm sure.
It changes your perspective on life and on health, things that we take for granted every day. It's like if you don't have your health, you really don't have anything, and we just take it for granted. And you just always think, you hear about people getting sick or getting cancer, but you never think it's going to be you. So, it came as a big blow to us. But I did want to mention something real interesting. I don't know if Mike told you, but what ended up prompting the ultrasound that found the mass on his kidney was he was on his way home and he stopped and got a soda to drink. And then later on, evening, he had blood in his urine. So, went to the doctor to get that checked out. If he hadn't have drank that soda, then he would, we may not have ever known about it. And so I found this today that a few years ago there were fluorescent nanoparticles detected in 2 of the most popular beverages, Coke Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And I did not know this, but Coca-Cola recently signed a 5-year strategic partnership with Microsoft for $1 billion. So then that puts into perspective. You remember Bill Gates said we could lower that by 10 to 15%. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that's something people should be aware of.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just really.
Well, it's 4:30. Let me go to the break, and we'll be right back. And you guys just keep praying for Mike and Jolene, and don't turn that dial.
Oh, no, we're embarrassed.
Simone Biles is seemingly throwing shade at Michaela Skinner's controversial comments. After her 2024 Olympics gold win, the 27-year-old seemingly calls out her former teammate Michaela Skinner's remarks about how gymnasts these days, quote, don't work as hard as they used to. While sharing photos of herself at the Paris Summer Games alongside teammates Suni Lee, Jordan Childs, Jade Carey, and Hesley Rivera, celebrating their gold medal victory in the women's gymnastics team final, Simone writes in the caption of her July 30th Instagram post, quote, lack of talent, lazy Olympic champions. Although Michaela has not reacted directly to Simone's post, she did show her love for Team USA by sharing a photo of the athletes with their gold medals to her Instagram story, along with 3 red heart emojis. Just weeks ago, Michaela, who competed alongside Simone at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, made headlines with her reaction to the gymnastics trials for Team USA. The 27-year-old says in a since-deleted YouTube video, quote, besides Simone, I feel like the talent and the depth just isn't like what it used to be. She continues, a lot of girls don't work as hard. The girls just don't have the work ethic. In her video, Michaela suggests that the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, a nonprofit created in order to help end abuse in athletics, was part of the reason for this perceived lack of effort. She explains, quote, like coaches can't get on athletes and they have to be really careful what they say, which in some ways is really good. But at the same time, to get to where you need to be in gymnastics, you do have to be, I feel like, a little aggressive and a little intense.
Well, that's interesting that you have, I didn't realize there was a little bit of a rift, but Simone Biles is tearing up the Olympics this year. She has now become the most decorated gymnast Olympian in American history. And me and my wife have enjoyed immensely watching the Olympic gymnastics as well as the swim team. So, but we are back with Jolene Carter from Virginia. And Jolene, you found an article and posted it today dealing with possibly the Freedom of Information Act, and it by their lack of cooperation, it makes the Secret Service look guilty.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have denied. So Judicial Watch is the one that submitted at least 3 FOIA requests, and they've been denied. So, I mean, they don't want to give out any information. They testified before Congress, acting like they were all, being honest about things, but completely not. I mean, what do they have to hide if they're being very, very secretive? And so there's been a couple of things come out. I don't know if you saw Josh Hawley's letter to DHS or Mayorkas. He oversees the Secret Service.
Yeah, Homeland Security, the one they've impeached twice. Yep.
Right. So what? Another thing that came out was that there were DHS officers there at the rally rather than the Secret Service. So these people were not even experienced. So why were they there instead of in the Secret Service? So that was a question that Josh Hawley had put in his letter. And also, there was no canine. They always have like a dog sniff out, bombs and different things like that. There were just so many things.
They had no drone coverage either.
What's that?
No drone coverage. They had no drones, and they had no canine unit.
Right. And I'm thinking, what are the odds that there would be such epic failure and incompetence right at the same time that there would be an assassin? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't add up. Nobody believes what they're pushing.
Well, the other thing,
everyone is saying is
the FBI's pals is CNN News. Just like whenever they raided Roger Stone in the middle, like at 4 o'clock in the morning, Mar-a-Lago, CNN News always just happened to be there by coincidence. Wasn't it interesting? CNN never covers Trump's rallies live, and that day they were covering Trump's rally live.
Exactly, they were, and they never do. In fact, they have publicly said they will not cover his rallies because of his lies. They're trying to protect us from his lies. So they have come out and said that, but yet they're going to, cover this one.
Just out of the blue, CNN chose to be there live. But do you know, is what's the guy's name, Vincent Fosco or something? The people they think is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, it's like Vincent.
Do you know he was behind Trump at the rally, and a Q guy sent this to me this morning. He said, if you look back, he wonders if this is true. If the reason they shot so many times were they trying to take him out as well because he was gone. Did you see how quick they got him out of there too, or someone got him out?
I didn't notice that.
I didn't either. I went back and watched. I saw him as Trump was speaking, but when everyone went down, you didn't see him again.
That's interesting.
So I thought, wow, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to say JFK Jr. is alive. I'm still, that's a stretch for me. But if that's him in incognito, he was, or maybe he was a good combat crawler and got out under the bleachers. You just, but
it does look like he's wearing a disguise. I mean, it really does.
Well, if you believe that, I know. And Derek Johnson and some of these Q folks, they make some good arguments. And I've got some friends that really believe it. Like I've told them before, if Trump's still president, then I'm actually pissed because there's some things that's happened I can't believe he let happen. But
right, I feel the same way. I've got friends that totally believe it. It was the rally after that, or it might have been the convention. I don't know, but he brought his name up actually. And I thought that was kind of interesting because Trump brought his name up. You know.
Well, he loves to tease the Q crowd.
Yeah,
he does the
it
Q,
seems like it.
and whether now some say, well, that's because he's part of it, and he may be. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But all I'm saying is, it's interesting when he went out of office, the Q drops did stop.
I know.
And that inside track, and they kept saying, you have more than you know. Where we go one, we go all. You're watching a movie, it's your popcorn, a rabbit hole, Alice Wonderland. But anyway, let me ask you this.
Several rabbit holes thanks to Q.
Yeah, the rabbit hole and the red pill. That's a new thing. Wayne Root says, Mr. President, now is the time to combine no tax on tips with no tax on Social Security for seniors.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Now, the tax assessor, buddy of mine up here in Middle Tennessee, he's pushed that. So I wonder if he'll get credit for that. But this is, I saw this, that Trump is now one of his, he's got 3 new things, and it's blowing Kamala and them away. He's been saying no tax on tips, but now no tax on seniors, which I think would be a great idea. What a way to honor the retired. And then the Bitcoin community. He spoke at that convention. Did you hear about that?
Well, now, what did he say? Because somebody had mentioned something about it, and I just didn't catch it. So what did he say at the convention?
He said whatever they call it, the choke. Let me see if I can find the name of what they call it. The Bitcoin community says the Operation Choke .20 is over, and they're saying that Biden's administration has tried to hinder, if not destroy, the Bitcoin community.
Okay.
Because, see, Bitcoin technically can go around the world banks. Mm-hmm. And that's where, the Democrats, they in their yeah,
they want to control the money.
Their deep state, yeah. And then you have BRICS, and I played the clip earlier. The president of India, Modi, I never say his name right either. He just got in a historic 3rd term, but he said the Western banks, they don't want them controlling there anymore. So a lot of these countries are going back to gold-backed currencies, and they're becoming more nationalistic. Right. And Russia and China are doing that. India's doing it. And so the petrodollars, we know the American dollar, it's going to change.
It is. And I think Trump wants to go back to that. And, that's why JFK was killed, because he wanted to go back to that, the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. Yeah,
we all know the story about that. So
Nixon and Kissinger actually took us completely away and opened the door with China, but they brought in Saudi Arabia for the OPEC. Well, now Saudi Arabia is joining BRICS.
Right.
So that 1972 agreement for the petrodollar, I'm assuming it's either null and void, or they're just going to balance the beam. But and I'm sure there's got to be a way they're trying to keep from crashing the economy and having a world war over it. But most of our wars, when you go back and look, this guy did a documentary, and it's interesting about how the banking industry changes because these rich guys, they actually support both sides, but it's to get us all distracted.
Right.
And anyway,
and, that's true. There's a lot of money in war, and it could be why they want this continual war in Ukraine, because I have read that they are pumping up the economy so we don't, because the dollar's losing its value and they don't want it to crash. These billionaires basically keeping things going.
Well, I got to ask you about this one. Since you still dip into the pool of the Q community some, have you heard this? Because Joe Rogan went there. That it's more evidence that's possibly people playing the role of Joe Biden, because the one that came out after COVID is like 4 inches taller.
Yeah, I know, I saw.
Unless Jill's wearing flats, which I don't think, because she's styling profiles. He towers over her, but it showed pictures of him with other people, and I guess that was a major. They didn't think, kind of like they had the short Secret Service guard in Trump. People noticed that. People noticed those things, and evidently Biden grew, and So
yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan even spoke about it on his show, and he's not really. I don't think he would talk about something on a show, that was. I mean, I noticed it. He looked like a giant. And I've heard that they have several clones, and they use masks. The night Biden addressed the nation about him, stepping out of the race, it didn't seem like it was him. His body language seemed off. So I don't know.
Well, I'll be honest. When they play speeches when he was a senator, and even when he was vice president, his face, his nose was flatter, and you've seen the ear things. It does look that something's not completely right. But they've all had body
color. I mean, he had blue eyes, and now he has these black demon-looking eyes. But
right, and they all have these back doubles. I mean, they say because sometimes they just have someone rides in a limo and waves at people so they can have a break. Now, I have this one friend of mine that believes that's not Donald Trump doing these speeches. They think it's a backup double. I don't see how a backup double could have that passion and speak like him.
Yeah.
I don't see that, but everyone's. I don't want to make fun of anybody, but Senator Johnson on the FBI claims of would-be assassins Thomas Crooks, they're trying to point this as a MAGA terrorist trying to take out a MAGA president. This doesn't make sense. You can't trust the FBI. Do you think the FBI has made so many stupid moves right now? They've gone from we don't trust you to we just don't want you.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody trusts the FBI. I mean, they were more, worried about, Christians and, parents and all these things instead of what they should be doing. And it's just so obvious. And then they plant stuff, just like they tried to make this guy look like he was, an extremist, conservative guy. But they found his Gab account, and he was totally left as can be.
He was a member of Antifa. He supported Biden. Leftist. Plus, the picture they keep showing, this clean-cut little kid, that's like 3 years ago.
I know.
He was wearing women's makeup and had long hair, and some think that he's much like the Nashville shooter. He probably even has a manifesto because they scrubbed his house. When the state police went over to his house, the house had been scrubbed. The trash, utensils, everything, anything with DNA was taken out of the house.
Right, I read that.
And so, and they're not.
Yeah.
So going back to the FOIA request, the Freedom of Information Act, that I think that's one reason they're not releasing stuff is because just look at this shooter in Nashville, and the little bit of we found out now that was a trans person, and what little bit, even though the judge said it was okay to release it, the police have held it back for whatever reason. And what little got released, then because it was the judge said it's okay, the people that released it to the press have been facing legal jeopardy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is weird. I mean, the real picture of this guy, I mean, he looks like, a trans. I mean, he's dressed up like a girl. He's got long hair and makeup. They don't want that picture, so they put a picture of him when he's this scrawny little high school kid. So
well, some say that's his 8th grade picture. I don't know because
it probably is.
When you see other pictures of him, he was much taller and his face is more mature looking, but especially with the long hair and the makeup, the picture that's now surfaced. That one of his classmates actually slipped on an Instagram account that's gone viral. The president speaks on National Association of Black Journalists. Did you hear about that in Chicago?
I did. I've seen a couple of clips already today. He's cracking me up.
What? What? Tell me some stuff you heard. I hadn't watched the clips yet.
Well, so the interviewer, she starts out just like a bulldog, just, really mean and aggressive, doesn't even say welcome or hello. She just comes out of the gate calling him a racist and this and this and this, and he handled it really well. When one of the things he said, well, I've known Kamala for years. He said, not directly, but, I've known her for years, and she was, she is, Indian. And he said, I didn't know until she, a few years ago that she was black. She just turned black. I mean, the way he said it was just so funny, But if you go back and look at some of her videos, when she's running for vice president, she's presenting herself as Indian.
Yeah. Have you seen the time she changes her accent?
Oh, yes, they showed that today, too.
4 or 5 times at different settings and parts of the country, she uses different accents. And when she was overseas, she tried to talk like she had an overseas accent. So,
yeah.
Interesting.
That should just that drives me crazy. I cannot stand fakeness.
Well,
I mean, if anybody just looks at her record,
they scrubbed it off a couple of the websites that used to call her the most liberal senator in American history back in 2019. That website's been scrubbed. But, you have Bernie Sanders and Pocahontas that are usually the most liberal. They said Kamala's left of Bernie. That's liberal.
Ooh. Yeah, she is. Her dad was a Marxist. I mean, he was a professor. If you look at her record, if you dive into her, she is way out there.
Well,
these people, voting for her, they're voting for their own demise. They need to research and look at her record.
But the biggest people that hate Donald Trump, supposedly, are white, educated females.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your voice to a white educated, if there happens to be one listening to my show, that would say, hey, I just don't like Trump. I see him as a misogynist. And so I'm either going to vote for Kennedy or Kamala. And my point is, people say I don't like Trump, so I'm voting for the other side, even though I can't, because they came across a guy at a rally, at a teachers union rally, and the guy said he's voting for Kamala, and he said, well, because he couldn't stand Trump, so they asked him, well, what has Kamala done to earn your vote? What does she stand on that you agree with? And he got totally blank.
Right.
And then they said, are you being brainwashed into voting for her, and they're getting you jacked up because you hate him? Which one do you think? And then as they talked to him, he actually started saying, well, I do like this about Trump, his policies. And so within 10 minutes, the guy just about flipped his vote. Yeah. That's why I don't think she's going to. I agree with Charlie Kirk. I think everyone's gotten a sugar high like a kid when these polls first came out after she announced, and the Democrats got their mainstream media machine behind it. I think after Labor Day, everyone's going to come back to earth, get more serious, and I really think she drops like a rock.
Yeah, she's definitely going to have the media behind her, and they're going to pump her up. She's having so the way that she's getting people to come to her rallies, she's hosting these free concerts, from big, rock stars. So
that's what Hillary did, and then people leave when they get up to speak. Right. Did you see where Kamala got up to speak and all these people left?
I saw something about that.
Yeah, I watched the video, a couple of clips people had, and after the concert was over, they were leaving. They had no desire to hear her. Yeah. And half the crowd was either leaving or making their way to the door.
Right. Yeah, they weren't there to see her, and that's going to continue. She'll probably have Taylor Swift opening, for her soon. But somebody posted the lyrics from, this artist who was up on stage rapping versus the lyrics to, to a Trump rally, and I can't even say the lyrics, on air.
Oh yeah.
From her, it's just disgusting.
Well, there's some people that support Trump that use bad language too. I mean, people send me funny songs, as you know, but and I have to listen to them because one time I played one and I almost let the F word slip out over the air.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a difference, though. It's not so much the bad language; it's just the way that they talk about women on, in their lyrics.
Oh yeah.
And race. They're using the N-word, and they're, that's what they get mad at about Trump is because something he said 30 years ago. Well, this artist was on the stage saying the exact same thing.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting race, and I just pray that no matter who you are out there, and if you want to vote for Kamala, vote for her. I'm all for, hey, let folks vote for who they want to. Kennedy, if you want to vote, there may be, I think there's actually two more independent voters out there, Jill Stein and the guy with the big crazy hair. I can't think of his name at the moment. But see, the more of them that run, like in 2016, that really helps Trump, because Trump base is solid. It's that middle ground that don't know if they can support him for whatever reason, and let them all split that up. And I hope Kennedy stays in the race, because I think Kennedy is actually Donald Trump's best friend right now.
Yeah. Well, there was an article that came out that Kennedy was thinking about stepping out of the race and endorsing Trump, but then I didn't see anything else about it, so I don't know what that was.
Well, they met in Milwaukee. You know, Trump and Kennedy met in Milwaukee, and some even thought that he might offer him the VP. Now that would have been interesting, but the problem is Kennedy is so pro-abortion.
Yeah.
The pro-life folks would have went nuts.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been. It would have been interesting, but it would have made a lot of people really mad for sure.
I think he made the best. I think JD. I mean, there was Marco Rubio would have been a good one. I think there were several, but hey, your girl Carrie Lake got the nomination for Senate. I guess you saw.
I saw something about that. Yeah.
You noticed I noticed Trump doesn't have her speak. Did she speak at the GOP convention?
I don't think so. I was wondering what happened with her. I think that they just figured out she'd better off as a senator. That it would have been more useful to him for her to be a senator.
But hey, I'd rather hear her than Kimberly Guilfoyle. My gosh, just because you're sleeping with Don Jr. doesn't give you, the bit. That chick needs to go. She doesn't bring anything to the party. When she gets up to speak, I go get a Coke or go use the bathroom. I can't stand to listen to her.
She does have a unique way of speaking.
Well, she's in anger. This last one, she looked angry, though, and the makeup, and I'm just going too much Botox. And no offense, Laura Trump too. She needs to chill on the Botox. I'm sorry, I'm being critical of female apprentice, but the bottom line is Guilfoyle is just too much out there for me. But hey, we're about to have to go. I wanted to say a prayer for Mike before we left and remind folks to go to GoFundMe and they look up Jolene Carter's husband battling cancer. Is that what they look up?
Right. They can just look up my name and they will find it. Just Jolene Carter. And it's help Jolene Carter's husband fight cancer.
Well, guys, and they're heading to MD Anderson this Sunday. And I just ask everyone, if it's just $5 or $10, do something to help the Carters. Because medical bills are going to pile up. And no offense, when you work for Christian organizations or churches, no, we're not in it for the money. They don't pay well, and they don't have great insurance. You end up having a lot of out-of-pocket expenses. So just see what you can do for the Carters. And let me say a prayer. Father God, I ask you to bless Mike right now. Lord, he's just a great human being, and he loves you. And, Lord, I ask blessings on he and Jolene and their kids and their family. I pray folks will be touched to go to GoFundMe and look up Jolene Carter. And, Lord, give a little amount and help with those expenses. And give them safe travels down to MD Anderson and let the doctors have just complete wisdom in all that needs to be done. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. That means so much to us.
Well, you guys are good. And I noticed you and my mom were talking online.
Yes. I saw, that was so sweet. I'm so glad I got to meet her virtually. I told her I hope we can meet in person one day.
When you get on Barbara's prayer list, let me tell you, she's a prayer warrior.
Well, that's great.
And so she'll be praying every day. Her and Claude, my dad, Claude Jr., they pray every day. They have a little list. And so Mike's made the list.
Made the list. Well, I was excited that she wrote on my post because she said that she was your mom, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I got great parents.
Yes, you do. Well, of course. Look how you turned out.
Well, I got Maria Wagner calling, so I better let you go. But thanks, Jolene. Okay. We love you.
Thanks. I love you too. Bye-bye.
We got Maria Wagner. We got to go to a break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Beverly Reynolds. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I just wanted to let you know that I feel it's important to have the Macil Duncan radio show. I listen to him and support him completely because he tells the truth that we don't hear on mainstream media concerning local, state, national, world happenings. He talks about our nation that was formed as one nation under God with the inclusion of individuals' God-given rights. He speaks about God, our creator. He talks about our Constitution that guarantees those rights. And the people need to get involved in their freedom, liberty, and regaining and retaining and protecting their constitutional rights. So I believe everyone should hear his show. They should get involved, whether it's physical, it's prayer, whatever. They need to get involved and pay attention to what's going on. And he's putting that word out there. He's a true Christian patriot, and I wish all Americans could hear his show. Thank you. 305
G Chattanooga. Do you love God and do you love America? If you do, you're going to love this radio show, the Macil Duncan Radio Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Right here at Destiny Life Media 96.9 FM. You can also hear the show live and archives of the show at streetlevelamerica.com and usaheartbeat.com. Also hear it at macilduncanradio.com, Rumble, X, Truth Social, Facebook, and more. And we're working on growing the show nationwide. The Patriot Pastor of Appleton Baptist Church, he is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show. We are growing better together all the time. Those are the words of Dr. Steve Ball of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. One of the ways that they grow is with life groups. It's very important for you to get connected in a small group so you can develop relationships and hold each other accountable. Dr. Ball says they believe that Metro Tab is growing larger and smaller at the same time. Life groups are an important part in developing relationships with others who share your interests and are dealing with similar life issues. Why don't you get connected? Check out life groups and the many other offerings at Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They want to be involved in your life. The address is 2101 West Shepherd Road, just off Highway 153 at the airport exit. It is time for the Church of Jesus Christ to roar. That is one of the core principles of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their mission is to restore the roar in the body of Christ by establishing a foundation of faith in the Word of God through the power and demonstration of His Holy Spirit. They will reclaim the original intent of God for the church through training, equipping, releasing believers, and raising up leaders who will carry the roar of the Lion of the tribe of Judah to build strong local churches. And we all need that. You can find out more information by going to their website, myroar.org. Metro Tabernacle Church is located at 2101 West Shepherd Road, at the airport exit off of Highway 153 in Chattanooga. Let's roar.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and this is the Macil Duncan Radio Show, broadcast live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, on usaheartbeat.com and radio and streetlevelamerica.com. And I've got Maria Wagner with me. Maria, how's things going?
Things are going pretty good here, Macil. How are you doing?
Well, I'm good, and one of my church members sent this to me. Ben sent this. He says, and I didn't. This isn't a parody. This is a conference held at the United Methodist Church in North Carolina, May 1st, 2024. The United Methodist Church delegates voted 692 to 51 to repeal the ban on LGBT clergy and same-sex weddings.
Wow. Seriously.
Well, the Methodist Church went through a split, and I just thought I'd mention this real quick. And because Apposon Methodist across the street, people that wanted to stay in the conservative, it's called the Worldwide Methodist, they had to buy their property and their buildings back from the Methodist denomination. They were not independently owned, and they only gave them a short time span to do it. And so with all that's going on at the Olympics and all that, it's a crazy world. Real quick, what do you think about the Olympics? Did you think that opening ceremony was over the top?
It was pretty vile. There's so much backpedaling on that, saying, no, that's not what it was. But then, the truth's coming out that, it really was for blasphemy, the Last Supper.
We know the lady that that was in the middle, the heavy lady that had the Jesus in the role. She actually put on her Instagram account the gay welcome to gay Christianity, and said a derogatory about the Lord's Supper. She deleted it, but she put it on real cocky the day of and during the event. She didn't take it off for 24 hours. So people have screenshotted it. So people that are trying to say, oh, that wasn't the Lord's Supper, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think her comment was something like the gay New Testament or something like that.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of statements, but Jillian Michaels, who is a professed, strong, liberal lesbian, she rebuked them and said, basically, you guys, we have constantly asked to be accepted for who we are and to be treated equal, and to take this opportunity to bash 2 billion of the planet for what they believe is unacceptable, and you're doing nothing but building roadblocks. And I appreciated her. She's a high-profile lesbian for saying that.
I appreciated what she said, but there's one part of it I disagreed with. I think she also said that this is going to make people hate the LGBTQ community, and I completely disagree. There's no hate in our hearts. We just don't want to see half-naked men in makeup and so disturbing around children. That's what infuriates us is the people that are behind all of this, putting it on, right? Confusing our children and just trying to force it down everyone's throats. I don't think it makes people hate the LGBTQ community. I hope not.
Well, what was at the end of the table many overlooked was there was a child that was part of the presentation, meaning that the transgender have said they're coming after the kids, and they're like their little evangelists. This one priest said that's why they're going into the schools, doing the libraries, and they're going out very loud and proud right now, and so they did it in such a way. That's why Dylan Mulvaney got shot down. Bud Light's still paying the price. Did you know Starbucks, their stock is still down? They barely survived this quarter, but they blame a lot of it because of their overstep and overreach last June in the Gay Pride Month. And remember, halfway through, they took down all their gay stuff in the middle of Gay Pride Month. So did Target, Starbucks, Target, Major League Baseball. Several of them backed down because it was the people don't want that, and then to do that, I think they were responding to the swim team, kicking that guy off. That's off the girls' team.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was their response. But with that said, tomorrow is voting day, August 1st here in Hamilton County, and a lot of folks on the ticket. Senator Gardenhire is a friend of mine. He's back up for Senator Marty Haynes, a good friend. Both of them helped me raise money for the food pantry. But who, Moms for America, who have you guys endorsed for tomorrow for folks in Hamilton County to vote for?
Well, I have to say it's our sister organization, Moms for America Action, because that's where we can legally endorse candidates. And when you talk specifically in our area, we do have happily endorsed Michelle Renault. And she's on our website at Moms for America Action. She's running for state rep, and that's who we endorse.
She's been on my show before. Michelle is very articulate. She's very smart. And
yes.
Up in Signal Mountain, that's a lot of smart people up there. So for her to rise to the top among a lot of those folks, that tells you how special she is. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they've adopted a child as well as have natural. Am I right?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I think so. I'm sorry if I missed. I believe that's the case. But she is a mom, godly wife, good Christian woman. But she's very smart. When she was on the show, her answers were just so well thought. And I reposted her segment of the show. It's on my pages 2 weeks ago. If anyone wants to go look and find her, but or just go to her. You don't have to listen to my interview. She's been doing so many. But what is it about Michelle that you like?
I agree with you. I like that she was, very articulate, and I know that, for her to get the Mama Bear approval, I'm sure she resonated with a lot of issues that are on all of our hearts as moms. I also appreciated all the support she got from our church. We go to the same church, and we have a civics and culture division or ministry. And, there is another candidate, I forget his name, he's running for office too, but, our church introduced us to them just to talk to them and get to know them as candidates. So to see that kind of support within the church was just amazing.
Well, the thing that I think that Michelle also brings to the table, because I believe was with Moms for Liberty some too, but she's always been involved. But the Isaiah 117 house, when Sabrina Smedley invited me to their when they did the opening, and I said a prayer down there and was part of the little blessing on the house. Michelle was a part of that opening, if you will, for the Isaiah 17 house, and that helps displaced children that are taken out of the home for whatever reason, and before they can find a foster home, as you know, that Isaiah house is where they'll spend a few nights and give them clothing, shoes, toys, etc., because sometimes they're taken quickly out of an abusive situation. That tells you a little about Michelle's got a heart for others, and so she's a mission-minded person. Well, let's see. I know there's a lot on the ticket. Is there any? A lot of people. Is there any? To your aware, is there anything on the ticket that we need to be aware of that Moms for America is alerting folks?
No, as far as Tennessee goes, I know this is not our district, but we also have Monica Irvine and Chris Spencer. I've heard a lot of great things about Chris Spencer. And so those are the other two state legislators or state senates that they're running for that we've endorsed at Moms for America Action.
So for someone that's running for office and would like your endorsement, how do they go about getting that in the future?
Oh, glad you asked. It's mfaaction.com. It's M as in Mary, A as in Frank, A as in Apple, action.com. And you'll see right at the top, there's an endorsements tab. And when that tab drops down, you just, you look to see which questionnaire, if you're running federal, if you're running for school board, if you're running for state, you're running for library board. We've got a questionnaire for all of these candidates.
Okay. So that's good. And have you guys decided who you're endorsing for president yet?
Well, yeah, I would think so.
Now you're laughing. You're laughing. Is that a Kamala laugh?
We're the mamas for Trump.
Oh my! Can you imagine if Moms for America or Moms for Liberty endorse Kamala, and there may be a chapter somewhere that does, and that's their choice, I guess. You just never know. But
I can't imagine any mom in their right mind doing that. And I say that with all seriousness when you see what she is for and how that just goes against everything a sane American loving mama would want.
The two groups that Trump's not doing well in is college educated white males, 35 to 40 to 49, something like that, and educated and educated white women, 25 to 49. And why is it? But they've gotten, I guess, the Caucasian race. I guess because they go through the minutia of higher education. But you're an educated lady of Caucasian, if you will. How would you tell if a lady's happen to be listening that fits that demographic and doesn't like Trump, and they're voting for the other team just because they don't like Trump? They have no policy that they agree with. Have you been dealing with that at all?
Sometimes. I mean, it's, when we have get-togethers in the neighborhood, it's hard to, conversations seem to be harder and harder to have, unfortunately. Our culture has somehow permeated people's brains where they just want to shut you down and not have those open, we can agree to disagree conversations. So I don't run into it a whole lot. It gets more difficult when people just get more defensive.
Well, there were 3 Caucasian older ladies I happened to have a talk with, and one of them just blurted out, "I'll never vote for Trump." And I said, "Really? Why?" And, "Oh, he's a womanizer." I said, "Really? Why would you say that?" And she just got real. I said, "Do you believe everything the news says or everything Facebook says?" And then they said,
Yeah.
"Well, that Billy Bush video." I said, "I know." I said, "But have you ever said something that you hope to God nobody recorded and replays on national media?" I said, and I'm not justifying what he said, but I'm not voting for a pastor. I'm voting for a president.
Amen.
And that was years and years ago, and Billy Bush got fired over it. But no, if you're looking at Biden or Kamala Harris as the beacon of morality, then your argument's mute. Kamala, she climbed the ladder on her knees, as you know. So she's not a moral person. That's what I don't understand. The very thing these Christian elites that don't want to vote for Donald Trump over, the reasoning that they give me, I'm going, but I think Biden and Kamala are worse. Do you agree with me?
Oh, absolutely. And when I get that from Christian people, when they ask me, I love exactly what you said. They're trying to look for somebody who's perfect, and it ain't going to happen. And we're not voting for a pastor; we're voting for a president. But another thing I do tell them is, okay, well, just crack open your Bible and look at all the imperfect people that God used in His will, like King David. He's a good example.
He died being called a man after God's own heart, but he broke all 10 commandments. He broke all 10 commandments, especially when it dealt with Bathsheba, and he had some seasons of failure. And I'm not justifying it at all. I'm just saying Christians can be very judgmental, and very little on the grace, especially if it's something that they don't battle. Someone that doesn't battle drugs, or drug, they can be so hard on someone that's addicted to drugs, or someone that's addicted to gambling, or someone's addicted to alcohol, pornography, or cussing. But if you don't struggle with it, you can be very judgmental on someone that does, because you're thinking, why can't you be like me? but then what's your weekend? So they may be able to look at you and say, well, why, you've got problems. And but the bottom line is, we got a vote, and Colorado County Clerk has a shocking feature on the new Dominion ImageCast Central tabulators, and allows mail-in ballots results to display before Election Day. Did you hear about this?
No. So they can read them before Election Day?
Yeah. In 2020, the presidential election, several states took an excessive amount of time to process the tabulate mail-in ballot after universal and or no excuse mail-in balloting was permitted in most states due to COVID fears. According to an article by Washington Post, 27 states, Maria, allow early process of mail-in ballots in 2020. That number has since ballooned to 43 states now in total.
Whoa.
And some of them have these machines that it's got a new feature, the Dominion ImageCast Central tabulators, and allows mail-in ballots results to display before Election Day. So it basically lets them help see who's ahead, I guess, and say, hey, we need some more so-and-so ballots. But
right. But are they using the excuse, it took us so long to count the last time, that's why we want to display them ahead of time? Is that what you think?
I don't know, but I had a friend that sent this to me. And see what you think. A very reliable friend of mine just finished poll work training, and she texted me this. I just finished poll manager training, and I passed all the classes. I want you all to know something. If you're checking in at a poll and they happen to write anything on your ballot before they give it to you to put the voting machine, a letter, a check mark, a star, an R or a D, or anything of any kind, please request a fresh ballot with no markings. Your ballot could be disqualified if it's written on, depending on which side is counting the ballots.
Wow.
I've not paid that much attention if they hand you a ballot, but I think I do remember the last time someone doing with a Sharpie doing something to the right-hand corner. And I'm not saying that, anything illegal, but...
So it could be counted as invalid.
Well, exactly. Say if a Democrat sees too many Trump votes and they've put an R or something, they could say, that ballot's been tampered with.
Yeah.
According to the training that this person just went through. And that's a trick that they said they use in a lot of in polls, is they teach their people to put a marking on there, and then if they need to disqualify some ballots, so their candidate gets better things, they use that. Isn't it sad?
If they see that if the person requests a Republican ballot, they could put something on it.
Yeah, like they put an R or something. Now Republicans cheat too. Okay, I'm not trying to act like it's all Democrats. There may be Republicans out there that do some of this shenanigans too. It's just even 2020 there was so much more. Like when they put the pizza boxes up and wouldn't let folks in to watch the counting, and they made conservatives stand 200 yards where you couldn't see what's going on. Some very obvious things. And I guess you've seen 2,000 Mules by Dinesh, right?
Oh, yeah. Actually, Dinesh actually came here and hosted a showing. I went there to meet him.
Man, you've met all kind of cool people. What's Dinesh like? He seems like a nice guy.
He's just as sweet and soft-spoken in person as he is on video on his podcast. He's just, and my brother asked him questions, and he just takes his time and answers people's questions. He's a very nice gentleman.
You know what's funny is he was a never Trumper. Remember
really?
Back in 2016? Oh, yeah, he did not like Donald Trump and wouldn't vote for him. Well, then Trump pardons him. Because remember that other movie he did?
Right.
And he realized, this guy's not as bad as I thought. He goes, if it hadn't been for Trump, I wouldn't be able to vote again. He gave him a full pardon so he could vote again. But do you remember they put him in? They humiliated him because he really did that thing on Hillary Clinton and the liberals, that film, and so he had to check in and spend the night in jail. They allowed him to be released throughout the week to work, and then he had to spend the weekend in prison. But
wow, I didn't know that.
Took his voting. They did him, and it was kind of like what they'd done to Trump up in New York. It was pretty much a cooked. And that's what's sad. If you happen to live in the wrong district and you don't, and you're a minority politically, the judge. The jury of your peers could really put you into situations.
Yeah, it's scary.
I got to ask you, what do you think about Peter Strzok and Lisa Page getting $2 million settlement from the DOJ?
What is that one about? I don't know if I've heard that.
Yep, it came up in the trial the past 2 days at the, with the Secret Service and the FBI and the shooting. A couple of senators brought up, how Peter Strzok and Lisa Page back in 2016 guaranteed Trump would not get elected, and if he did, they would make sure he wasn't inaugurated. Do you remember those texts and all that?
Wow, no, I don't.
Yeah, and they were fired from the FBI, exposed, etc. Well, they evidently did a lawsuit under Biden's watch and said that he defamed their character. Well, Peter Strzok got a $1.2 million, and Lisa Page got an $800,000 settlement from the government. And
wow, because of what they said.
Yeah, their text messages were exposed, how they promised that they were not going to allow Trump to be president, and if he won, they would not allow him to be inaugurated. Plus, they were both married, and they were having an affair. That came out. And they said a lot of other expletives about Trump, and they were big Hillary Clinton fans.
But yet they're getting away with a winning here.
Well, and one of the senators asked the assistant FBI director, did you sign off on this? And you ought to see the guy. He said, I did not and I would not. He didn't look happy. He didn't look happy about it.
Wow.
The FBI, I'm going here. Do you feel that these federal agencies, the Secret Service, they had 48%, after Trump left office, 48%. They're down 48% in Secret Service. So many have left. Because of the wokeness. What's it going to take to get our government agencies, the CIA, FBI, just name them, Homeland Security? I don't think folks trust any of them anymore.
No. This last, with the assassination attempt is just such an even bigger horrific blow. And I don't know what it's going to take to regain our trust in them. And, as far as, hopefully, prayerfully, he'll get in and replace a lot of people. But you see so many inconsistencies and lacks of security during the assassination. It's just a lot of it just seems to lead up to it being an inside job.
Well, the other thing, CNN never covers a Trump rally, and they were there. Just like they were there when Roger Stone got raided at 4 in the morning in Mar-a-Lago. When CNN shows up, they've been tipped off by the FBI. So that tells me the FBI, I think, especially when did you see the local SWAT team in Pennsylvania go to ABC, and the group of them said the Secret Service did not tell them anything. They were, until after the shooting, they had no communication with the Secret Service.
I think I saw parts of that interview, and I also read that even the local police were not in communication with the Secret Service.
Right, and then when they went to his home, the feds had scrubbed his home, all of his utensils, there was no DNA found in the house. They scrubbed it.
And how did they not know we were signing this order? How is this not, so incredibly infuriating, scrubbing his house.
That's what I'm saying. Within hours of the shooting, and supposedly the father calls in. Now think of how convenient that is for the parents. But it came out in a report. Do you know the parents are avid sharpshooters? And they own 21 guns, and them and their son would go to ranges on a regular basis and practice sharpshooting. There's video evidence.
There's even, I read somewhere that he might have even been at the gun range with FBI agents there training while he's practicing too.
Well, he also appears in a BlackRock video. The kid does. And now the president of BlackRock, who was in the video as well, is trying to disavow it, and they've taken it down off their site. But the other interesting thing is that building that there was no snipers on the roof is owned by an subsidiary company owned by BlackRock.
Yeah, I read that too.
So you got BlackRock, who's not our friend, and Trump cost them a lot in 2018 when he drilled, and we did, and brought our economy back. They were invested more in Ukraine and global energy. And many feel that's why BlackRock doesn't want Trump back in the White House, because they're globalists. They're part of the World Economic Forum.
Right.
And that would make sense. So the FBI, it's just looking like there's probably some good agents in there. I'm just saying, but the upper echelon and whoever pulls their chain, I personally think it's because they're trying to first float that it was an Iran attempt on Trump. No.
Right.
No. you know. That especially.
Well, you see videos too of the local police near that building. I think it's called the AGR building, but their guns are drawn and they're looking up at the roof like they know something's going on. But then you hear they weren't allowed to communicate with Secret Service. Why?
That's the thing. I think a lot of folks, because you've seen all these videos of folks yelling and saying, "Hey, gunmen on the roof, etc." And then on the Senate floor, or in this investigation, they've got now a documentation, a timeline that shows that there was actually video of him that the state police have. Well, the Secret Service tried to say, well, they didn't share it with us. That's why the state SWAT team and all said, that's because you did not make the 9 o'clock meeting. You didn't give us any briefing like normal. They gave them the Heisman. And so they didn't have the, usually when they meet, they say, by the way, if you get anything suspicious, run it through Maria, But when they didn't have that meeting, and then the SWAT team is on ABC News, there's like 6 or 8 of them. They all said, we did not hear from Secret Service till after the shooting. And then they went up with their body cams on, because remember, Secret Services, all their body cams weren't working. They went up with their body cams on, was looking at the site, and they were, and it picked up some of the agents and some of them admitting some very damning information.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this.
What about those two? What about they foiled the texting between snipers?
Yeah.
And one of them's leaving his shift. He goes, "Hey, there's a suspicious guy over here. He saw me put my gun in my car. He knows where we're parked." And I think the dialogue also talked about him having a rangefinder in his possession.
Well, not only that,
why did it seem so lackadaisical? Nobody seemed no sense of urgency.
Well, also the FBI has confirmed that he had a drone and was overseeing the property a couple of times before the event. How did he know where the stage was going to be?
Right.
3 days out, I don't think the stage is built 3 days out. And right, we didn't have drones or canine patrol there. To track that kind of stuff down.
Right. Why didn't we?
And just a lot of things that just seem to be glaring wrong. And have you heard the theory that people said that the far right Q people, and then the Blue Anon, which is the far left progressives, there's a group called the Blue Anon. I may have asked you this. They both said Trump faked it for different reasons, of course. The more I look at that, I don't think he faked it. I think Because if he turned his head, I mean, within those split seconds, he would have been dead.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
How would he know to turn his head? I know they're trying to say, well, that bullet wasn't for real. They did a photo imaging, and no, I think it's for real. But
there's a photo of the vapor trail of the bullet.
Exactly, that's my
by
point.
its head.
Well, but some of the far QPO. But here's another thing. This is freaky. You'll have to go back and watch it for yourself. You know the guy Fuscas, whatever the Q people said is Robert F. Kennedy in he in disguise.
Yeah, he's standing right behind Trump.
He's standing right behind Trump. Okay, when the shooting goes off, he disappears. Some people wonder the reason all those extra shots is the deep state. They were trying to take him out as well. Because think about it, they started shooting, and that may be why the fireman got shot. They were trying to take, if that is really John F. Kennedy Jr., I don't know.
Yeah, he goes by, I forget his first name, but his alias is something Fusco.
Yeah.
The guy in that hat.
I'm just trying to put it all out there. You know.
Right.
I
recognized him right away when they started showing all the replays of the assassination attempt. I'm like, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah, but look, as the shooting goes on, he's gone. Either he belly crawled maybe under the bleachers, or he may have had some security himself that got him out of there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
good question.
I just thought that was interesting. I got to ask you about Archbishop Vigano. Have you heard of this guy?
Carlo Maria Vigano. Love him.
Yeah, he's wrote all those conservative letters, and he's been spot on. And he's called out the Pope for being, pro gay marriage and pro. I mean, because he's the most liberal, and I believe the Pope's even made justification for abortion. He's just been a way out there Pope. And,
don't get me started on him.
Well, this Archbishop, was this. They whatever they do, they banned him or something, they kicked him out, whatever.
Yeah, the Pope went after him.
Did you hear what he dropped yesterday? His new drop.
No, what did he say?
After the Olympic and then blasphemous, the transgender stuff, Archbishop Vigano calls Emmanuel Macron's wife a transvestite. Meaning, it's a guy pretending to be a girl. And guess who else he calls out? Big Mike. He says Michelle Obama is a muscular man with a wig.
Yep.
Now, this is a guy that's been right 99% of the time. When he makes statements like this and he drops these letters, now some of them are long letters. And you have to, they're
amazing.
Yeah, my point is for him to drop this yesterday, is that not, because you've got to wonder if, let's just say it's true. If Michelle Obama is remember Joan Rivers and others have said it. People have said it. Obama slipped up.
That's why they say Joan Rivers is dead because of that.
Right after she exposed that, she went in for routine surgery and died on the table. If this is true, is there a group of world leaders that have embraced this and they want the world to embrace, because they want a world leader? And do you think America, they thought was ready, because that's why they did the Dylan Mulvaney? Could it be, this is a could be, they were going to push Michelle Obama in, but now they know America's not ready for it. America is not. They've pushed back. They've boycotted Budweiser. They're pissed off with the Olympics. And you got to wonder if there's a deep down, the people that support that lifestyle that seem to have a lot of money and a lot of power. Think about it, to pull that off at the Olympics, whether you like it or not, you got to admit that was a lot. It wasn't just a 1, 2, 3 dancer-ruber. It was constant. Peyton Manning was one of the commentators. He was speechless. He didn't know what to say.
Wow.
He got made fun of because he kept trying to bring it back to sports. But I'm sure he's thinking, I can't endorse this. And they would. they would not buy his product again. Kelly Clarkson tried to dance down the middle road and say, "Oh, how cute, how wonderful."
Of course she would.
She was trying to, but without super endorsing. But you saw the American commentators, but then the guy from I can't remember his name, the professional guy, he was trying to endorse it and act like it was great. But Peyton and Kelly Clarkson just kept a tight lip, and they got criticized later for it. But my point is, it was so bold and so out of the ordinary and so much. I wonder if it's a test. They're trying to see how the world would respond if one of them became a world leader.
I remember us having this discussion before, and it does make sense, but it just seems, if they're trying to push Michelle in here or Michael, whoever you want to call her, there's just so much more deeper than that too. When you have all of this in front of our children, I think it's to manipulate children's minds, and there's like this evil pedophilia movement under this push too.
Well, they froze their college records. They still will not release Barry Soetoro and Michael LaVaughn Robinson's college records. That was their names in college. We know them now as Barack Hussein Obama and Michelle Obama. If you go look at the voting card for Michelle Obama, it was also the same voting card for Michael LaVaughn Robinson up till 2006. Yep. And the pictures of Barack and Michelle when they were Barry and Michael, it looks like two guys in college, but they froze their papers, and because some of the research papers were very Marxist. And
I don't doubt that. Prove me wrong. Just unfreeze the papers. You know what I'm saying? What do you got to hide?
I don't understand why they have to freeze records. They made fun of Trump not turning his tax returns, right? Well, they finally got him and realized, he didn't break the law, booger. Okay, Barack, come on, man. Just release your college records. Show us that.
What makes them so elite that their records are untouchable anyway?
Well, they're hiding. They don't want us to know things because I think we saw it. He's a transfer student from Kenya.
Yeah.
The birthright, all that goes. I mean, it all comes back up, and I think that is going to be the big. That's why I think Michelle says. Remember, she said, "I don't want to run." I think she knows America's not going to embrace that because if she does, Donald Trump. When you're a former president, you know a lot of crap. There's stuff that you're probably not supposed to tell anybody. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine Donald Trump debating Michelle Obama? And he would bring up, hey, let's talk about in 2007. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the deep dive would be on her life, and in such a way, or his life, however you want to. It would be very, very, very incriminating. So, anyway, but Bishop Vigano just dropped this yesterday that the Emmanuel Macron's wife is a transvestite and mocks Michelle Obama as a muscular man in a wig. So I don't know. There'll be some that can't believe I mentioned it, but I'm just telling you. Can I tell you this? Did you know on Amazon you can buy merchandise that says, let's see, the only good Trump is a dead Trump.
It's not on there anymore, but I do my best to boycott Amazon. If I see a product, then I'll go to the company's website and not purchase it off of Amazon. I can't, I don't care how big they are. If they're not vetting their vendors, there's no excuse for that.
Well, exactly. I guess they are so big. Maybe something could slip in, but that's so. Who would want to? I mean, I guess sick people. I wouldn't want to do that for Biden. As much as I'm not a big Biden fan, I would never celebrate his being shot at or his death like that.
Absolutely not. And I think the article I read, the journalist was looking intentionally for T-shirts that said that about Biden. Of course, you can't find them.
Well, there may be a redneck that makes them somewhere. You know what I mean? There's always that chance.
Right. But not on Amazon.
Have you heard interns at Kamala Harris' office are ordered not to look her in the eye? That was a privilege reserved for senior staffers.
Oh, gosh, no wonder why she has so much turnover.
92% of her staff since she's been VP have resigned. Letter penned in November 2019 by the father of Kamala Harris intern is making the rounds again. The California Democrat reported how Kamala throws the F-bomb around all day and berates her staff. And they're not allowed to look her in the eye. And 92% have resigned since she's been vice president.
Well, I'm not surprised.
But she laughs all the time. You know, she's big into legalizing marijuana now. You think she eats those gummies that, you know, that have the marijuana or something? Because she's like got the happiness, like she's on a high. Have you heard the clip of her? I've played it here before. She's talking about education, and she just starts laughing in the middle of a very serious topic, and the moderator says, you know, this is a serious topic, and she just keeps laughing. And,
wow.
And she's speaking with a couple of dignitaries, and she says, "A friend in need's a friend indeed," and just starts laughing because he didn't know what to say about a topic, and she just starts laughing, and then he says, "Well, I'll answer the question," but she just kept laughing in the microphone. He had to wait for her to stop.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm going, you want that to be your president? I don't know.
I'd like to, you know, draft a fact sheet of everything she represents, and then post it on social media and say, hey, for those of you that say I'm with her, you're with this too, like defunding the police for one.
Well, I'm just pulling up these news things. Did you hear about the whistleblower in the Secret Service? Saying that
one sounds familiar.
He says Secret Service has deleted the email, but this guy sent out to 90-some people in leadership and said, expect another assassination attempt before November due to poor leadership, saying that 4 people need to resign, 1 down, meaning Cheadle. There's 3 more that need to resign, or you'll see another major target assassination attempt.
Wow. Well, you know, I was reading the other day, Charlie Kirk, I don't know if he had a recent event with Trump, but he's very troubled at what he views to be, he still feels his security is just lackadaisical, and he's expressed a lot of concern. He posted, I'm looking for the post, but he said that the other day.
Well, I don't know if you remember, Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson said they both, and I think even Vivek said they would kill Trump before they let him be president again. They were all saying that weeks ago. And, of course, Alex Jones, he loves to brag when he's right. He says, I told you they would try. But, and then Vivek, for him to say, that's back when he was a candidate, you know, running. He said they won't let Trump anywhere near that White House, I can guarantee you. I mean, he said it with such confidence.
You just look at everything that has been done to him over the past, almost 8 years.
Yeah.
They've tried everything.
Well, they got the...
It's horrifying to think of, but I believe it.
Would you remember the Ministry of Truth they tried to bring out when Biden first became president? That was going to somehow monitor all social media and all that?
No, what is that? That's a company?
Well, it came out of, was it Orwell or 1984, the term Ministry of Truth?
Oh, okay.
And so they dubbed it, and the Biden administration ran with it. Well, they got such pushback they dropped it, but the Federalist has got the Ministry of Truth is proud to present Kamala Harris for president. And remember the time Joe Biden named Vice President Kamala Harris the border czar, and we all watched her fail to do anything about the crisis. He also said, because Harris was never a czar. Not technically. Since we don't have czars in the United States, everyone knows that Joe promised Kamala would lead our efforts to fix the border, and he really meant the vice president would research some of the root causes during the weekends and maybe take a few diplomatic trips. But basically making fun of her being called the czar, and but she was also labeled, she was going to be the Ministry of Truth. Those were the two things that Biden charged her with doing when they first took office. And she's, of course, they backed off on the Ministry of Truth because, trying to oversee social media, and that's already being done. Why does she want to get blamed for it? But I don't know if you noticed Facebook today, I didn't put any of the topics on the runner.
I was looking.
Yeah, I just put you and Jolene on there. Because when I do, and if I put anything on there that or a title from one of the articles, it sends a fact checker into Guru City, and it takes forever. I have to sometimes log out and re-log in through DuckDuckGo or somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite. So my point is, they are censoring. I get warnings all the time. I think the thing that's helped us is, and I'm sure you would agree, Elon Musk getting Twitter, now X, and pushing for freedom of speech and kicking the government out and exposing how they did monitor and create narratives. So
absolutely,
with that and True Social. But did you notice the article that group tried to, because they thought Trump was going down, they tried to lower some stock, 12 million shares. And if Trump had died, those things would have been worth a mint, evidently.
What stock is it?
Let me see if I can find the article. I've deleted some of these articles because I've had them up for a while. But there's a group that in Texas, and the Saturday before the event, they were messing with the True Social, his stock. And actually, George Bush and J.P. Morgan, some of them have bought stock in that. And so it's awful coinky-dinks before he's shot at. They made a move on the stock market the day before that to sell low or something. Anyway, it's been exposed.
Okay.
They're saying it was a clerical error. Now, and
of course it is.
Here's three things I think is hilarious. It was a young man made a clerical error, but he was all by himself, no intention. We have a sniper, all by himself, took a shot at Trump, and then that was before the convention, and then before Trump speaks, a young man all by himself with CrowdStrike does something supposedly to shut down the internet worldwide.
Yeah.
Think about it, but all three of those, all three were young men on their own with no attachment to anyone or any agenda.
No help at all.
And I'm just going, how stupid do they think we are? I guess they look at me and I look pretty stupid, but I'm just in all seriousness. I think the FBI realizes we're just not as gullible as we once were.
Yeah, maybe they underestimated how many people have woke up.
Have you ever gone back and watched the Kennedy assassination and the trees jumping? This guy was pointing that out because they doctored the film to hide the other shooters. If you go back and watch it, the trees jump because they weren't as good at putting together, like they are now.
Oh.
And trees, you see in one frame, and then it jumps. It's like, I'm going, hey, man, this isn't Lord of the Rings where the trees walk and talk. And this guy was bringing out, he thinks that this is opening up more questions about the Kennedy assassination now as well with Trump's. Now, the Q people, one of their theories is Trump set this up so it would raise questions so when JFK Jr. comes back in whatever form, then it's going to open up, hey, let's look at all the assassination attempts on Kennedy, my dad, on Kennedy, his father, and on Ronald Reagan, and expose that this is all tied to an inside cabal.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Interesting.
We got about 4 minutes left. If somebody wants to join Moms for America, how do they go about connecting with you guys?
Well, if they'd like to go to Moms for America, MOMS4FOR America.us, you can check out our website, all the wonderful resources we have for free to all the moms. And if you fill out our contact form, it'll come to me, and we'll reach out to you if you want to join a group. You might have a group already in your area to connect into, or we can help you start a group. What's also just as important is our Moms for America Action website. You can register to vote. You can research the candidates, and you can also read our congressional report card, where we take a lot of issues that are really important to the mama bears, and we grade every single member of Congress on their voting records over the past 2 years.
I don't think there's a group like you guys in the country, and how you guys cover so much nationally. And, it's obvious, too, when you start getting the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Bobarts, the Matt Gaetzes, they really court you guys. They want your endorsements. And so that tells you the conservatives, when the conservative politicians know who you are, that means you're representing something that's of value. And so...
Thank you. I'm just blessed. I'm just blessed with our executive team. It's our president, our vice president. They're just such wonderful conservative moms.
Yeah, you guys really are a good team, and my hope is that your tribe will increase.
Thank you.
Well, Maria, thanks for being on the show, and we'll talk next week. How's Mark doing, real quick? Is his procedure do any better?
I don't know. He seems to be having a setback because, he still has pain with the herniated discs, but he just started physical therapy this week, so I'm praying that that's going to, bring him over the finish line here and get all that, relieve him of all of his pain.
Well, tell him we asked about him, and if he needs me to drive the Jag around the block, if he can't drive right now, tell him I'll be glad to help him out.
Well, it's getting some repairs next week. We haven't drove it all summer, so it's driving me crazy. I want to go for a cruise.
Well, don't forget, we got the car show coming up in September, the 28th here, and we'll talk about more of that in the near future, but I hope you guys will come back to that.
We'd love to. I might be on the Tucker tour, though, on that date.
I gotcha. Well, you guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take care, Macil.
Thank you, Miss Maria. That's Maria Wagner with Moms for America, and a great human being, great Christian. Want to remind you, tomorrow, August 1st, if you're in Hamilton County, you need to vote. There's school board. There's Senator Todd Gardenhire needs to be voted back in. Marty Haynes, a lot of good folks to be voted in. So please keep that in mind, and hope you guys will all take the time to vote and pray for the country. I'll see you guys, and God bless. We'll close out with some Toby Mac.
Maybe midnight or midday, never early, never late. He gon' stand by what he claimed, lived enough life to say,
I heard your heart, I see your pain, out in the dark, out in the rain. Feel so alone, feel so afraid. I heard you pray in Jesus' name. It may be midnight or midday, it's never early, never late. He gon' stand by what he claimed. I lived enough life to say, help is on the way, round in the corner. Help is on the way, coming for you. Help is on the way, yeah, yeah. I lived enough life to say, help is on the way. Sometimes it's days, sometimes it's years. Some face a lifetime of falling tears. But he's in the darkness, he's in the cold.